We have Bruce live in the locker room in Tallahassee celebrating on the field with the Florida State.
It happened. And I don't know why. Like, we were able to run the ball so well in the first half, especially to the left side. And then all of a sudden, we started to abandon it. And like I said, there is some inconsistency.
How are they going to approach this game? How are they going to beat this Florida State team, Dick?
Well, we're going to break you guys.
Okay, that's it. The show's over.
In the story, we're going to break you guys. Look, and I'm joking, but it's true. I mean,
Lord, the climb continues, KB. Oh my God!
I am sweating.
Look at my heart. Look.
You know what? Yeah, I have so much to say.
All right, welcome back to Seminole Sideline 365. I am KB, and with me, as always, is the old man. Welcome back, y'all. Happy Friday. Happy whenever you guys are watching this, Saturday, Sunday. We appreciate you guys being here. We got a lot to talk about. Big news. It looks like Florida State has finally solidified their coaching staff, so we'll go through that, see if you guys are happy about that, not happy about that. A couple of big changes today in regards to the staff and who's linebacking coach and just a shifting over of a couple of guys here and there. So we'll get your thoughts on that. We do have, obviously, the old man went live and he did a quick reaction to the Castellanos, his commitment. So we'll go a little bit more in depth on that and get y'all's thoughts as well as my thoughts on that, because I really haven't gotten to speak on this, and I think we'll get my thoughts on that. And then obviously we've had some commitments to the program, which is always a good sign. We had some guys come out of the portal.
Decommitments.
Yeah, we've had some we've talked about that, but there's going to be, I think there needs to be more decommitments. So, so we've had guys leave. We have some guys come back, but come back from other schools, have made their way back to Florida State. We have some guys come out of the portal and stay with Florida State. So we'll talk about that and a lot more. There's a lot of trending Twitter news that I like to pull those things up and surprise you.
And I'm on there a lot.
Yeah, I know he is. So, so we have a lot to go about. And if you guys see anything breaking news, as during this portal season, there's always something breaking. Yeah. So if you guys hear of anything, comment it. The old man's always looking at the comments and seeing what's going on. So flag us if anything breaks, late breaking here as we're going through the show. But we appreciate you guys being here. If you don't mind, like and subscribe. It really means a lot to us. We're trying to make the final push to 1,000 subscribers.
Yes.
And it would mean a lot to us. So thank you again. But with that, I'm going to crack open my drink. I'm drinking a gingerbread stout, if anybody likes dark beers.
What is that?
It's a local brewery. They do a seasonal stout, and it's like a gingerbread. It's good. It's not sweet, but say like a 9 ABV. It's a higher ABV beer. It's a dark beer. Yeah, so that's.
I'm not gonna have. I've been drinking coquito. I don't know if everybody knows what coquito is. It's a Puerto Rican type rum, heavy on the rum type drink. It's almost like an eggnog with rum in it. There's recipes out there on YouTube. My partner and she and I made some coquito, and actually it's pretty damn good. But I had a lot of gas today, to be honest.
Okay.
No, to be honest with you.
No,
I mean,
my stomach, you don't need to be that honest with us.
No, my stomach was a little I had 2 glasses instead of the usual 1. And then someone told her, you're not supposed to put an entire bottle of rum in the damn thing. Maybe like a half. But it was very, very good. So I'm going to lay off that tonight as we cruise into the holiday season. Well, I'll probably have a little bit more. But, these things happen to you as you get older. You're missing more parts. Parts break down. And I'm certainly have my share of missing parts. Every time a doctor had surgery and took a part out of me, they would go, you didn't really need that. But what the hell was it there for if I didn't need it? Hey, right. Okay, here's my cup of the night. See this cup? This cup.
Now we have cups of the night. We have a new segment, guys.
Cup of the night. It goes back to 2005. everybody out there, ask yourself, where were you in 2005 when I picked this? When I picked this up at the stadium, and this was celebrating 30 seasons, 30 years, 30 seasons with Bobby Bowden. And as it says right on here, it's a souvenir cup. And by God, I've kept it as a souvenir cup. 1976 to 2005. Okay. Look at it. Still great. Look, still bend it. You can put juice in there. You could put coquito in there, but I'm not going to put coquito in there tonight, KB. So that's one. I have a variety of cups, which I'm not going to show them all tonight. You have to come back. Hit that subscribe button, by the way. If you hit the subscribe button, then it tells you when we're on.
Okay. All right. Let's get into it.
Okay. That's part of my job, sales. We're trying to get to the 1,000.
Okay. I already said all this.
Relax. Okay. Relax.
You just like to waste time. All right. Let's get into it.
All right.
So obviously, as you all know, Thomas Castellanos has committed to Florida State. There has been, I would say, at minimum, a mixed reaction from the fan base about this commitment.
Yep.
This broke on Wednesday night. And for better or for worse, you have your quarterback. This is your number one quarterback. Yep. And I have to say, I was originally not into this, when it was rumored about a week ago that he was going to be visiting, and it looked like this was going to be Malzahn's guy. I then warmed up to it because we had the discussion on Tuesday that, Bill O'Brien and Castellanos are probably the worst match in heaven in terms of quarterback and philosophy of a pro passing game. So I think that, there's good things to this, right? Last year, if you remember, the whole trying to find a quarterback, it felt like it took ages to find who was going to be Florida State's guy. And that was like the final piece versus working backwards. When they found DJU, it was late in the process, if I recall. And then you had already tried to get pieces to fit that quarterback. It was too late. But now you've found your quarterback early. You've identified him early. There's no bidding war. There's no long negotiation. You've got your guy.
Right.
You've got your guy, and now you can build around that guy. And I also think that you avoided this long, prolonged bidding war where you would have to spend millions and millions and millions to secure that quarterback, and you could better allocate that money to the positions of bigger need, which is the offensive line, defensive line, linebackers.
Right.
So I think that fans may be too close-minded when they're thinking about what this means. Guys, we were never going to get Quinn Ewers or, some of these, maybe these top.
You and I were just talking about that. Ewers supposedly was just offered $4 million by Michigan State. That's ridiculous.
Supposedly. But these things are going to come up. They're going to come up more and more as the portal goes on. There's going to be big names like that are going to be rumored out there. Some may be true, some may not be true. We saw the names last year that were out there and that moved around. You saw McCord from Ohio State. People thought he was trash, and you saw what he did at Ohio State and then went to Syracuse and elevated them to.
It's a hired gun for 1 or 2 seasons.
These are all. There's going to be big names. But once again, you do not want to spend all your cash on a quarterback, in my opinion. And they didn't have to do that with Castellanos. And now you have him. What does he give you? He gives you the ability to make big plays with his athleticism. He's not going to be, an elite downfield passer. He's not going to be an elite, mid-tier passer. But he can play football, right? He can manage the game. He can make explosive plays with his legs at any point in time. This is what we've seen when he's played against us. You've seen the numbers when he's played against us. He's destroyed us. He's ripped apart our defense both in 2023 and in 2024. We've had firsthand knowledge of this, and that was in offenses that weren't necessarily tailored to what he does best. So I think that matching him up with what this seemed like a handpick from Gus Malzahn of that's the guy I want, that's the guy we're going to get, and they got him, and they both wanted to work with each other. And I think that also has to be a positive sign because when you got DJU in, I don't know if that was the perfect match or even how that came to be because when we all, and I thought DJU would work, but there was also the objections of, is this, Mike Norvell does like a more mobile quarterback, especially behind a somewhat suspect line. And then that played out horribly because he couldn't move in the pocket. So I don't know how DJU and Norvell, how that came to be. And I think we did lose out on the Cam bidding war and his, am I going to go to the NFL? Am I going to sit a year? Miami bidding, stuff like that. I think we lost that battle last year. But I think going all in early on Thomas is a smart move. I think he has more positives than negatives. And I think the offense being tailored around him is going to do more from this. I mean, we can't go low. Our offense couldn't get worse than it was this year. But I think it gives you more opportunities to build around him, to invest in the offensive line via the transfer portal. And I think you're going to be able to recruit playmakers who want to play with this kid and want to play in that Gus Malzahn offense, because you can go to Gus Malzahn's record of developing receivers and running backs in his offense. He has a track record of sending guys to the next level due to his explosive offenses. And this kid is explosive if you had to describe him anyway. Now, does he turn the ball over? Yes. Can he not always hit the deep ball? Yes. But he can also do the opposite of you very quickly. He can score quickly. In this offense, if it needed anything, it needed explosive players. This team had zero explosion in the offense last year. None. And this kid gives you that in a bottle. He can do it at any play, any down, at any time. And every defense is going to have to account for that. And when you match that with Gus Malzahn, I think it's very exciting. And he's here, guys. Embrace it. Stop shitting on it. Embrace the kid. And let's get excited and be positive so we can get some kids who want to play around him who are also as talented as him. So, old man, I'll let you get your.
Well, I think you summarized it pretty good. I'll just add a couple of things. First of all, I think he's going to be effective enough to score points and win ball games in the short to medium passing area. I think that is going to be his best fit, especially if he's scrambling with we're probably going to have an average. If we had an average plus offensive line coming up, we'll probably be lucky. But he's probably going to have to do some scrambling. Receivers are going to have to break off their routes and come back to the quarterback. And usually that's in a shorter medium passing area. I think he'll be fine in that regard. He's not going to expand the field too deep. He'll throw a few deep balls to keep him honest. But he's an elusive runner. And that's what the dual threat quarterback that Gus Malzahn and Norvell is seeking for 25. He brings that to the table. Now, why have fans 50% are for it, 50% are against it? It's probably because of this Bill O'Brien story. Now, I always like to know what the hell happened on any story, whether it's Destin Hill, whether it's TC here, the new quarterback, whether it's Evan Cooper. I like to know just what the story was. So I think maybe we put too much emphasis on the story because obviously Gus Malzahn and Mike Norvell and Herb Hand really don't see it as an issue. If they don't see it as an issue, then we shouldn't see it as an issue either, even though I'm curious about the story itself. Okay, so enough with that. I think he is the perfect quarterback for the perfect system for 2025 and maybe 2026 if we get lucky. All right.
No. He has 1 year.
He only has 1 year? I'm sorry. I thought he had 2 years.
No.
So
he has 1 year. He has 2 years to play one. 2 years to play one.
Okay. He is a hired gun like most quarterbacks these days. It's incredible. I was going through the amount of quarterbacks that are in the system, that are in the portal now. I stopped looking. There were pages after pages after pages. And, a lot of them don't have a lot of experience. They're looking to gain a job someplace. But Thomas Castellanos kind of fits the bill for us going into 2025 when Mike Norvell is trying to keep his job. So with that, I'm happy he's here. I think the fan base will get excited behind him. My question is, KB, my question is this, which I have on my list of questions today, is, okay, we got quarterback number one. We can build around him now, which is important. He's in camp, so to speak. He can start learning now. And if they accept his academic grades, you know what I mean? Like every player. Well, I'm sure that's done. I don't even know how that shit works anymore. Remember, it used to be have to get registered and get in class. I think all that shit's gone out the window. Here's my question. Who is going to be the number two? Because right now it'd be Brock Glenn, or is it going to be Mr. Jackson? And I hope Mr. Jackson gets his opportunities because he could fit in the system better than Brock Glenn. The question is, I believe strongly you need a number two quarterback that's ready to go, because when you have the dual threat quarterback, your number one guy could go down at any time.
I'll speak on that in a second, but I do, just the last thing I want to point on is that people shit on Jordan Travis when he came here.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And you can pull up those comments, and I think someone did today, which was funny. Someone pulled up the post.
They did. Yeah.
Jordan Travis, when it was announced in 2018, when Jordan Travis is coming here, you can go through the comments. I'm assuming it's for depth purposes. You know, this guy couldn't beat out Javon Pass, and he's the one of the worst teams in college football. He'll never play. You know, they were shitting on Jordan Travis. And I know it's a little bit different because Jordan Travis is still, but they didn't think a guy that, quote unquote, couldn't pass, was smaller, couldn't get it done, obviously was able to get it done for Florida State. So let's give the kid a chance. And as you can see, here, Plant the Spear points out, can they throw it deep? You know, Castellanos is possible. He had a better deep throw rate than Jordan Travis did in 2023 and didn't have close to the weapons that Jordan Travis had while at BC. He didn't have Keon Coleman. He had Johnny Wilson. And that's why I think they are looking to go big. They went big. You saw the guys they're recruiting, 6'4" and above.
Right.
You see they're trying to get more tight ends in here. They want to go big. They want to spread the field so that the guy can make a play on the ball. He can throw it up, put it in the area, and they want playmakers who are big, can make plays in the air, right? They don't want to have a bunch of 5'9" speedy guys running down the field, and then it's bigger guy wins, right? So I think that these numbers do speak for themselves, right? He does have an interception issue.
Well, everybody has interceptions.
But he didn't have the weapons too. So I think we have to give him a chance. I think he'll do some good things as offense. He'll make some mistakes, but I think people who are just being straight pessimistic on this.
He's a player. He's a baller. Okay. He's a player. He's a baller. He's going to make a lot of good things happen. He's going to screw up as much as all quarterbacks screw up probably, but he is the right guy for the right situation right now. Period. And thanks go out to Plant the Spear and Clay Fink there for their nice analysis on X there.
And when you talked about who are they going to put around him and who are those weapons going to be? Oh, I think this is a big one that we're even in the running. So Casey Concepcion at NC State, he's down to 6 schools. And I didn't think, I honestly, I thought Florida State would not even be in contention for a guy like this. I mean, he is, some rank him as like you can see, a number 2 ranked player in the portal. I think he's probably one of the most dynamic players out there right now. If you look at his stats at NC State, I mean, he stuck it out at NC State last year. They thought he would be gone. I thought he would be gone last year. But this is a kid that can straight up play. He's a baller. He would be your instant number 1 receiver in my eyes. If I'm being honest, and I think most of you out there would probably agree with me.
What's his numbers? What's
pulling
his
stats? And remember, NC State, I think, played 2 or 3 quarterbacks this year.
Yeah.
So he had only 400 yards this season, which is, lower than 8. He had 800 this freshman year. He's a true sophomore, right? So he had 460 this year, 839 the year before.
He's not a big guy.
2 years. He's not a big guy. No, he would have 2 years remaining.
He's like a Ja'Kai Douglas guy,
16 touchdowns in 2 years at NC State. Once again, NC State's had, I think they've started 6 different quarterbacks in 2 years.
Okay, now one of the things where a guy like this could fit in, I mean, he doesn't have dynamic numbers, but he's got solid enough numbers. But what I'm saying is there's been some criticism that the big-time receivers may not want to come to Gus Malzahn's offense because he's going to be a run-heavy type offense, and that Mr. Castellanos is not like a top-notch classic passer. Okay, so there's been a little bit of that chatter out there that I've been monitoring this week, and maybe a guy like this fits in well with the big guys they're going after, because I think when Castellanos out there scrambling around, little guys can get open, get separation more than some big guys. So this will be an interesting thing to watch.
This guy is a 100% a dynamic playmaker. He would be, in my eyes, an upgrade over what you had in Ja'Kai Douglas.
Yeah, he's got good numbers.
And he has 2 years. He's still young. He would have 2 years potentially if he decides to stay. But you have to see, he can rush the ball. He can do the end around play. He can receive the ball. And that's what you have to look at. He's multifaceted. He's a multi-tool.
Yeah, he's got good enough production. He's got good enough production to take a look.
He could do returns for you potentially as well.
Right.
That's what you like to see. So if you win this out, and that's why there's teams like Alabama, Alabama. There's teams like Miami, Texas A&M.
Of course.
You're going to have to win this,
Of
and this is
course.
going to come down likely to philosophy of offense, but also money.
Where does
are
he
you
fit
willing,
in money? Right.
Yeah. Are
Right.
you willing to
Right.
pay up? So that'll be an interesting
Yep.
battle to watch. They also, Florida State did offer another, and what we've been talking about, the trend I wanted to see, because you got some decent high school kids, you got some young guys on the roster, but the mistake we made last year, and I keep bringing it up because it was a huge mistake we made last year, was that we didn't get proven production at the skill positions last year, at receiver and tight end. And what we got and what we're looking at in terms of the officers that are going out are more guys now who have proven to production. So the Osceola reports is that they've reached out and offered the guy from Charlotte, Omega Blake, who had almost 800 yards and 9 touchdowns last year.
Right.
So once again, this guy who averaged like 25 yards per catch last year. Once again, it was at Charlotte. Take that with what you will, but I believe if a guy can catch, if a guy can make plays, do you think he's another 6'4" guy? This is another big guy, big body, can make plays, has shown that he can do it. Now you can say, I think he was originally at South Carolina, so he was recruited highly out of high school, didn't work, goes to another level so you can get playing time, and he wants to get back up to the highest level again. I think this is a great fit. I mean, this is what you need more of. You need guys who have done it, who have shown they can do it, who have shown the tape that they can connect. They have had the ball in their hands. They can make plays. No offense. We brought in Jaylen Brown last year and we saw it didn't fit yet, right? He still needs to get in the rhythm. He needs to develop. We need guys like this who have the numbers who can come in and connect in this offense and get it going, because they've been on the field, they made the catches, they made the touchdowns, they can get in. I think this is a great offer, and I think they need more of these offers, right? It sounds like, and the article points out, he's got offers from Arkansas, Michigan State, Oklahoma State. So it sounds like this is one of those guys that you may be able to, he's like one of those mid-tier guys that he's not going to be on the top 5 programs, radar, because they have either, depth, or they're going after, the top guys. You may be able to win this out and not have to spend your entire budget on them, but I think this would be an upgrade to your room and bring you veteran experience to where it's needed. So
I think you just made a good point. Is as they put up in their war room of who they're going after, each of those rooms has a budget number assigned.
Yeah.
And so they figure a guy like Omega Blake here, he may fit into the numbers game they're looking at that they'd be able to offer.
Yeah.
Because when you're talking to these guys, you kind of have to, you got to talk about money. That's what this is about. That's why there's so many players going in to the portal this year, because they're scared about what's going to happen after this coming season in 25, about salary caps. And I heard a very credible interview today. I don't remember the guys' names and all this, but they were credible. It was on the big screen. And they're talking about how you're starting to see, I know what it was. They were talking about Bill Belichick at North Carolina, that he brought in a guy as the general manager now who's from the NFL, has the NFL experience, kind of like our athletic director does, Mike Alford. You have to have this front office general manager experience now, dealing with salaries, dealing with player evaluations. These general managers are just like general managers are in the NFL. So that's what we have here. And so, what's bad for the fans is there's no transparency in terms of the amount of money guys are being offered, or what they're taking, or what they're signing for, like you have in pro sports. And that'll be interesting to see how that evolves. But a guy like this could fit into the system well. They wouldn't be offering a guy like this if Gus Malzahn and Mike Norvell thought the guy couldn't play football.
And the other thing could be, he may be a backup plan if you don't get KC, right? There's going to be these. And
that's right.
If it happens, you get both. Like, if KC accepts and then this guy does accept, I think there's going to be contingency plans in action, because you have to look at what you're bringing back, right, at the receiver position.
What do we have in production?
Jakai is gone. He was your leading receiver. Malik Benson has declared for the NFL. I don't understand that. But
I don't. He's going to be an undrafted free agent, potentially.
Lawrence Toafili, love him. He's gone.
He's gone.
Eligibility's gone. So Hakeem Williams coming back is your leading receiver career-wise, and he has a career total of what? 200 yards receiving in his career.
Right.
That is your leading receiver going into the 2024 season.
Yeah, Destin Hill's got, he had no production. Darren Williamson had little production. So we just don't have a lot of production in the room.
Hakeem and then Landon Thomas, the true freshman, are your top 2 receivers.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy to think how little experience there is in the receiving room.
Well, this bothered us coming into last year, and the whole thing collapsed. And
and the whole thing exactly, and played out.
You're right,
and it's a repeat. And it's a repeat.
So this is what we have to look at, and that's what I'm sure all our viewers, and we appreciate y'all being here, is look at the production of the person we're trying to bring in. But obviously, if they want to bring in 2 receivers, they've got to offer 4. Because you're not gonna. You can't just offer 2 and hope you get those. Yeah. You've got to offer maybe 4 to 5. You know,
and that's why.
Because once one guy commits to you, then the other guys start looking at where they fit in, just like the high school guys do.
Yeah,
especially at quarterbacks.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's great that they're in the contention for KC. It's great that you've offered this guy from Charlotte, and I'm sure there's a lot more offers out there that they have. And we'll look at the tracker here in a bit on Tomahawk Nation of who they've gone. We're going to look at who they've gotten scheduled visits for, who they're going to be scheduling visits for.
Right,
that's important.
Right.
It's got receiver production is scary to look at, like you see on the screen. But they need to address it, and I think they need to have at least 2 proven receivers in that room. And we talked about Berrien Brown from Kentucky. It doesn't sound like they've gotten anything scheduled with him yet, and I don't think he would be, in my opinion, a great one to add to this room. Eric Rivers from FIU we've talked about, and then Reggie Virgil we talked about, Miami, Ohio. I think those are 2 proven receivers, 2 from a lower level that could bring instant.
What do you see as production value on a guy they're looking at? Would you say 200 to 300 yards, or does it have to be 300 plus, or do you go by catches, 25 to 30 in a season?
I think career-wise, it's 1,000 plus.
Oh, a career
close to 1,000. Close to 1,000.
So you want at least a 2-season player then?
In my opinion, yes.
Yeah,
I think, or if he has if he had in a season over 2 seasons, 1,000 total,
and physically combined, he's held up. You know what I mean?
I think that's. But you look at some of the offers. They're going after, it seems like, a lot of non P4 guys, because I think those are more realistic targets. I mean, you're coming off a 2-10 season. It's going to be hard to get guys to look at you, realistically. Because if Alabama or Georgia, Georgia wants the top receiver, it's going to be hard to win that battle, in my opinion, because they have a history of development of receivers to the next level. You need to regain that reputation back, because you've lost it over the years.
Well, the thing here at Florida State is Texas. you can sell that we're wide open in the wide receiver room.
Yeah, but you also can't. You can also be negatively recruited that you had the worst offense in Power 4.
That's
ever.
True, and right now we don't have an offensive line. This is what the offensive line room looks like.
Yeah, so
it's a blank sheet of paper.
You're going to be negative recruited against heavily. So I think it's smart to go after these guys who are looking for the next step up, and who have proven production, and then also offer some of these guys who are maybe willing to take a lateral move or looking to be the guy in an offense, right? Who are looking to be the number 1 guy in Florida State's offense. So some of those guys are looking for that spotlight and want to be the guy.
Now, here's what the chatter has been all week, too, about this matter is that Gus Malzahn now, in terms of running backs and wide receivers, he's going to use bell cows, okay? The bell cow stays on the field unless there's a reason he needs to take a blow or he gets injured a little bit. There's not going to be this influx of we got to play everybody that's in the room, we got to play to keep everybody happy. That's not what his reputation is. So that's at running back and wide receiver. So if you get a productive wide receiver or 2 coming in here, those 2 guys can pretty much think that they're going to be on the field if they're being productive. Okay?
I mean, you can
but there's going to be accountability too.
You can just look at the carry stats. RJ Harvey had 232 carries, and the second most were the quarterbacks. The second most were by the quarterbacks, and that's what you should expect. And you look at Florida State's in the carry charts was Lawrence Toafili, and then it was Cam Davis and Luke. So it's it's not too far off. But I think, like you said, you
No,
had the
Roy
running
Dale
backs-
Williams is coming back, correct? Or is he done?
From all intentions, yes, he should be
Okay.
coming back, and he was injured most of last year, so I believe he is coming back. So you should have, it'll be interesting. I think the rushing room's fine. You're not
Now,
adding anything there.
my
You're not adding
understanding is the new 5-star running back out of Georgia, right?
Yeah.
He is going to get an opportunity
Yes.
to be the number 1 guy coming in here
Absolutely.
because he is a 5-star guy. He got paid big money. Okay. He got paid big money because he's a 5-star now.
And you beat Georgia for him.
And you beat out Georgia. He is going to be the guy getting a lot of the carries. That's what I suspect. Now, my understanding is Keziah Holmes is coming back. I haven't seen any movement on him. He didn't graduate.
No, he has one more year, and
So he is a solid guy. You still have Sam Singleton. You got Roy Dale Williams, okay, and you got Cam Davis, who
and you
we'll
have
talk about
Jalen
in a little
Lucas
bit.
coming back.
And Jalen Lucas,
And he was hurt all
I
last year.
think I'm not sure you need to spend a lot of money in the running back
None.
room.
No, you
No.
should spend it zero. If
Zero.
anything, I would expect
Right.
somebody. I don't know how you're going to carry all the running backs.
Well,
Like,
they probably suspect to lose someone after spring, maybe.
because you have six right now. I think.
After spring, some other guys
7.
will leave.
You have
but-
7 running backs.
But they need to spend the money, the cash in the wide receiver area and the offensive line.
Exactly.
They're really okay in the running back area. Okay,
Absolutely.
but no running back can show if you don't have a good offensive line for the push that Gus wants.
Exactly. And so that brings us to who are they bringing in this week? So we've talked about a couple of guys. We've got some visits scheduled, or they're looking to push some visits in the coming days, in the coming weeks. So we look at the guys that they've identified. Marcellus Marshall is the guy from UCF. He was visiting this week. There's been no commitments. Maybe that commitment pops this weekend. We'll see about that. That's the only one that was, I believe, confirmed to happen this week.
Okay, I would say this. If the money is right for a guy coming out of UCF or out of Nebraska, then it's going to fit, especially defense on the Nebraska side and the offense of UCF. If they like one of their offensive linemen and they make the money right, he's going to sign at Florida State because he's familiar with the system. He's familiar with the coaches. It's not as an upsetting type of situation for Marcellus Marshall. He just blows in here and starts to go to work.
Yeah.
So I believe there's opportunities probably to sign him. I don't know much about him. I don't know what his abilities are. But if they like the guy, you're not going to put him into your new team roster here unless you like the guy.
Well, and there's 3 potentially UCF guys that you could get: Caden Kittler, Marcellus Marshall, Jonathan Klein, who you could be targeting, to add to the offensive line if they do want to come over. That's to say if they don't hate working for Gus Malzahn. We don't know what that relationship
Or Herb
is like.
Hand.
Or Herb Hand.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Herb Hand.
Yeah,
Is who they're
exactly.
gonna be
So
working for.
we don't know what that's like because they may hate him. We don't know that. That could be part of the conversation too. It could be beyond money. Could be beyond.
If they
scheme.
hated Herb Hand or Gus, I don't think they'd be signing up to come here for a visit.
Well, they haven't though. We don't know of them visiting.
So
We
it says,
know Marcellus
Marshall's visiting
He
on
is,
the
but they haven't gotten the other 2 yet. So,
Okay,
so
well,
we'll see. But I think the thing to keep in mind is that some of the fan base has said, we're going to be UCF, UCF.
What's our new name?
The feeder school, and why, we're getting these UCF O linemen. We're going to suck next year, And I'm like, well, one, like you point out, our offensive line couldn't be any worse. And also, UCF rushed for over 250 yards per game last year. And then Jason Staples points out in his tweet here, targeting UCF O linemen isn't going to be a problem because against P4 competition last year, they averaged 5.2 yards per carry. So, and that was top 3 in the country. We averaged, as you can see right here, 2.7. We were 110th ranked in the country against Power 4 competition.
Listen.
So we should be happy to take any starting lineman in the country. Especially
FSU fans didn't have any problem when we were targeting Alabama and Georgia, and South Carolina. Remember?
Guys
And
who
they said,
didn't play.
"Oh yeah,
Guys who
we
didn't
just have a bus running back and forth to South Carolina." Remember that?
Yeah.
So when it's successful, then fans are all on board. Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, there's no way as a coach, all coaches are competitive at any level. All coaches want to win at any level, and all coaches really give a shit. Okay. They really do care about winning and their reputations. Gus Malzahn and Herb Hand are not going to bring in a UCF guy they don't think is going to help them achieve success, period.
Or make an impact year one.
Or making an impact. Yeah. I don't think they'll bring a guy in just, well, he's going to be a quality backup. They could. You're going to need quality backups.
You will need some.
You're going to need quality backups. If they think the guy is a quality backup or a starter, then it's worth going after the guy. Okay, so I'm going to leave that judgment to them. They're getting paid a hell of a lot of money to make these judgments and so on. So I don't think we need even to debate it. But I wouldn't bring in their whole offensive line because we know that's not possible, that they're all good. But if they bring in one or two guys off the offensive line, I don't have a problem with it.
Another guy to talk about offensive line-wise, and then I want to go back to the coaching staff. It looks like an update that in Norvell Central posted this, that they've offered a Bowling Green offensive tackle.
I saw that.
Walsh and Lager. I probably mispronounced that. 6'7", 305, all first team, all MAC. Once again, you kind of see a pattern that, you're not going after the backups of the SEC. You're not going at, you may be, but who we talked about last week. We talked about the guy, the FCS first team All-American from Western Carolina. We've talked about guys from UCF. We talked about, guys here and there. But I think the key is you're getting quality starters who may not be Power 4 guys, but these are guys that you're capable of recruiting. These are guys with experience, good experience in terms of they are high caliber players. They're not backups at a non-Power 4 team.
And we're not saying they're all going to go to the NFL.
I'm not saying they're going to be second team.
Most of them won't. Right.
But they're going to be capable of running an offense. They're going to be capable of their assignment. And, that's what a guy like this seems to be, could be, right? 6'7", 305. He's a big man. First team All-MAC, 12 starts, started 13 games in 2023. He's a 3-year starter. 3-year starter in the MAC. Knows how to do his job, doesn't seem to get hurt, which is what you need. You don't need guys like we had in the past who just get hurt and then you have to rotate him out for a new guy that's not ready. So this is what I like the trend. They're going after guys who they're capable of recruiting, may not necessarily be a $5 million guy, right? Capable of getting a veteran, doesn't get injured, and probably has a nasty streak. He's 6'7", 305.
You want a nasty lumberjack, go into the bar, kick someone's ass attitude.
Yeah.
Okay, especially if you're going to run the football.
Yeah.
If you're going to run the football, it's about being physical and whipping the guy in front of you, or at least holding and pushing a guy so your back can make good decisions and keeping it simple. And that's what Herb Hand is supposed to be good at doing. We're going to find out. Yeah. I mean, if we could get 125 to 150 yards rushing per game, it's really going to do a lot for this offense.
And it's going to be necessary, or they're just going to tee off. And it has to be. It has to happen. It has to happen.
So, I think you're right. They got a war room. They've got names all over there. And they're going out and they're looking, they're calling guys they believe or they know or think guy can play. And then they're going to enter in negotiations. A lot of these guys already have agents. You're dealing with the agent now. Yeah. They want you to, you're not like calling this guy up and discussing money with him. You're discussing it with his agent. It could be his father. It could be a separate sports agency now. That's how it works. Or it could be the kid. I'm not saying it isn't, but most of the time it's not anymore.
So you had brought up Herb Hand, Gus Malzahn. We're talking about staff, and finally we had brought up how much of these guys, like, what were you getting paid? Did we get a steal? Did we get this? So it finally came out. The Vorchank got some information on the contract information of some of the assistants here. Did anything stand out to you? Herb Hand's a 2-year contract. I think. Okay, I'll let you say. Herb Hand contract 2 years, $600K, $650 second year. Gus Malzahn is around $2 million average for 3 years. Tony White 3 years, under $2 million per year. Terrence Knighton 2 years, under $650 per year. And Evan Cooper safeties 2 years, under $4K per year. anything stand out to you, or anyone in the comments, anything stand out to you guys about this? I think in terms of, I mean, getting Tony White and Gus Malzahn for under $3 million a year total, I think is a really good steal. I mean, I don't know how you got Tony White out of Nebraska for under $2 million, unless he totally hated working for Matt Rule. I mean, I think that's a great deal. And I think you probably got a Gus Malzahn discount just because he didn't get a buyout, so I don't know. Maybe
I think Gus Malzahn just decided, listen, as he says, I'm an old school coach, meaning this new stuff is great. I'll adapt to it. But, I want to go in a different route like Chip Kelly did. Okay, Chip Kelly was a head coach in the NFL.
Yeah.
Did pretty good for a while. Then he was a coach over on the West Coast. And now he's the OC. As you get a little bit older, sometimes you want less responsibility and more specialty. And I can say that personally for myself. It's fun to be the specialist. I don't have to manage the whole program. I don't have to go out on the stump so much and talk to groups all the time. I can focus on what I like most, and that's scoring points. So I think the money for Gus Malzahn, giving his resume, is decent money. Tony White probably got a pretty good raise for Tony White, and he has a chance to. You know what? He can't do much worse than what Adam Fuller did. I mean, Gus Malzahn has nowhere to go but up, So I'm not so concerned about the money, because the money they're throwing around for players, it probably fits for these guys, So I don't see that as some big significant controversy.
No, I don't think it's a controversy. I think it's interesting because Tony White was making $1.6 million at Nebraska.
Yeah.
So he literally did take some would say a lateral move for lateral money, which just speaks to the fact he either hated working at Nebraska for Matt Rule, or, you got to steal. I feel like I do think you got to steal for some of these deals. Like, you didn't have to waste a lot of your budget on hiring. You got good assistants and didn't have to blow your budget on it. So
right.
I think that's a huge win.
And we don't know what incentives could be in those contracts.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
There could be, hey, everybody gets
yes.
a new Porsche. If we go to the ACC championship game, you get X. Just like Norvell has added his contract.
Yes, I agree.
So
I agree.
Most contracts have a lot of incentive-laden stuff about productivity, and I think you're going to see more of that about player contracts as well. Come on, let's just face it. This is the NFL. That's the model we're going to. That's the model everybody's talking about. That's when you hear the P2 mega conferences, and that's where the Florida State brand wants to be. So you're going to have to play into this. And because we're so bad this past year, this is a quick fix. And I think it's right now, in my opinion, it's going pretty well. But I want to see more action around that offensive line and wide receiver room.
Well,
and defensive line, but that's another topic.
Well, speaking of wide receiver room, we haven't discussed the new hire at receivers coach, Tim Harris, I believe.
Yeah, Tim Harris Jr.
So I wanted to get the chats and y'all's thoughts on that, because once again, there was a lot of fan reaction to this hire. Once again, a UCF guy. Once again, they're calling us UCF Junior or UCF Senior, whatever you want to say.
It doesn't matter. As long as we win football games and move the football, nobody's going to matter where the hell they came from.
But people looked at him because he seemed to work more with running backs than he did with receivers. And they said, what were your thoughts? Do you think this is a good hire? Do you think that they should? Once again, do you think it's a good hire?
I don't. You know what? I don't know much about him. I did look at his resume. His resume is okay. He's got a lot of Florida ties. It's going to come down to recruiting. And if he's a good recruiter, can he bring in 4- and 5-star guys and bring in good guys from the portal? I mean, that's where these guys are going to make or break their careers. Yeah. He's certainly on the level of Ron Dugans or higher. And I like Ron Dugans. Ron Dugans is a longtime FSU guy. He did great things at Florida State. I'm never going to say a bad thing about him, but it was time for him to move on. So I don't see it as controversial. I think it'll be fine. It'll all be about, I'm all about productivity and accountability now. I'm really going to focus on that productivity and accountability because that's real world that everybody works in.
Yeah. So I
Period.
think that, I think the big thing that, once again, I looked at his resume and, I didn't know much about him before, he's done great things at Booker T High School in Miami. I think the biggest thing here that has been overlooked maybe by some fans, including myself at first, was how entrenched he is in South Florida and how he's
most
worked
of these new
himself
coaches
up.
are.
Exactly. Yeah. And how he's worked himself up through the ranks of high school coaching. He's won a state championship at Booker T High School, I believe, in Miami. And he's worked in the college level. He's had success in developing running backs and working with skilled position players. And he's done that for 15 years. And so, like you said, many of the coaches they brought on have very close ties to South Florida. And one of the biggest gripes Florida State fans had is that we have position coaches and they can't recruit. They can't close. They can't bring in elite talent. And all the guys that they are bringing in seem to have the ability to recruit. Now, there could be questions about further development, but all these guys have pipeline in South Florida, where we all know has elite talent. And so the recruiting question should not be anyone's mind, because you guys bitched about Ron Dugan's ability to recruit at the highest level, or some of these coaches to recruit at the highest level in the past. Well, that should be an issue, because all the guys they brought in have great recruiting chops, and this guy included, because he recruited at one of the best high schools in South Florida, and he has good relationships down there by everyone I've seen talking about him. So I think in that regard, you've got a coach who can bring in. He can do some things, but I think his recruiting ability is going to be the thing that they brought him in here the most for. And I think for that, it hopefully does pay off. And
most fans, kind of like us in a lot of different ways, just have their own opinions. What the hell do we really know? We've never coached at this level. Yeah. So the guy's resume is good enough to come in here and coach wide receivers at Florida State. Who the hell else does everybody want? I mean, the Heartline or
but you were never going to, and like I said, you were never going to get that. And why? Yeah,
you're not going to get those guys.
And like I said,
right
you were
now.
never going to get Heartline. And what would Hine Ward who you were going to pay him $4 million? Like you were going to have to overpay for a guy like that. And that's once again you.
So we'll see. We'll see.
But with those changes, we also saw changes with his hiring. We saw some guys on the defensive side get hired today, right? So some updates on that. So Papachuas is moving to linebackers coach, so that got solidified today.
And Ernie Sims is going to be his assistant.
Yes, and so Ernie Sims is going to move up and be promoted to assistant linebacking coach, I believe, is that. So, but I think some people are, once again, mixed about this. I think John has done a great job with special teams. He's built one of the most.
And he's coached linebackers at two different universities.
Yes,
it's not like it's a big change for him. And he's got a very experienced assistant in Ernie Sims. Ernie Sims is not only played at elite level Florida State, and that's okay, but he played well in the NFL, and he's been coaching for a good while. So,
I think he'll be the recruiting piece, because that's where the concerns were. It's that John's not known for his linebacker recruiting, I don't think. But John is, I think, a pretty good developer. We've seen what he's done with special teams and that unit as a whole, and their kick blocking ability, and he's done a great job. But it's the recruiting. We have not recruited or developed linebackers very well, recruited especially. And I think that's where they promote Ernie Sims and his connections and his ability to say NFL level, and they keep him on board, and he becomes your recruiting tool. He becomes your ace recruiter, and we see what he can do. So I think that's where they'll work, as you said, like a team. And he's the elite recruiter, John is the developer, and he does what he does well, and Ernie does what he does well.
It's a big deal when you're going out to recruit people now, portal or high school. When you go out as a coach, you're getting asked questions too. Yeah. They want to know your resume. They want to know, where did you play? Yep. What position did you play? Did you play in the league? When Ernie Sims can walk into a household and said, yeah, I played in the league for several years. Yeah. And Ernie Sims had a decent reputation, and he wasn't the biggest guy in the league, but he had the heart and he had the dog, as they say. They like to say that he had the dog in him. Yeah. So that he knows what it looks like. Yeah. I don't watch as much NFL as I used to. I was watching the game last night between the 49ers and the Rams. These guys are flying around mainly because I was looking for Fisk and Verse.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm telling you what, those NFL guys, they ain't screwing around because they know their jobs are on the line. That's their livelihood. And they're kicking ass and they're very physical, very physical. So, and the offensive linemen are very physical as well. So, anytime we bring in NFL experience to our coaching staff or recruitment, they know what it looks like and they know what it takes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep,
there's a big difference when you're 6'6", 280 pounds, you're playing at high school and you're pushing around little skinny guys who on average, can't play. And it makes you look good. But these guys know what it looks like. They know. They know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
So a couple of things still on the portal side. There's just so much going on. So I think the staff, if I'm wrong, someone call me out. I think the staff is solidified, right? I think everyone is in place. Receivers, linebackers, line.
Did they get announced who's the quarterback coach? Is it going to stay Tony Tokars or what?
Well, I thought they did. I thought they mentioned who's going to be like the passing game coordinator. Oh, all that. I guess does that count? I thought they said someone's going to be the passing.
No. No, I don't think so because you have a quarterbacks coach who just works with the quarterbacks.
Well,
on
Tokars hasn't been fired, so I guess he's still the same.
Well, that brings up a point before you move on. It's on my list. I go to the Seminoles.com, okay, Seminoles.com website, which is the official website of Florida State, correct?
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. If somebody out there, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
If you really want to see what's going on with Florida State as released by the sports information folks at Florida State, you go to Seminoles.com. Yeah. So I go there, I'm looking at the roster. There's no updates on the roster. Now, if I'm running Seminoles.com or sports information at Florida State, I want somebody whose full-time job is to update athletics at Florida State. I want that site up to date. Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute. So they have the 24 roster on there.
Yeah.
I'm asking the question, at what point, and I asked this on Twitter today, at what point do they start removing names and putting new names on there? Why can't that be updated? When do they update it? In August of 2025? Start updating the roster now. If Thomas Castellanos is your quarterback, if I was Thomas, I'd say, why isn't my name and picture out here?
I don't think.
I'm just saying.
I don't think he's worried about that. I don't know why you're.
KB, I don't think he's worried about it either. But what I'm saying, as an organization chart, as an organizational chart, I guarantee,
because they don't know
on January the 20th, when the new president takes office, whether you like the guy or you don't, his picture is going to be hanging in every government office. It's not going to be Joe Biden's picture.
I can tell you a couple of reasons.
So tell me the reasons why it's not updated.
They don't know his number. They don't know his weight, his height. They haven't done those measurements, and they don't have his bio yet. They don't know what bio they're going to put up.
They know what all that shit is.
And they don't have his team picture. What team picture are they going to put up on him? They haven't taken his team picture yet.
Picture of him. They take all these other pictures, all these high school guys with flaming spears and
but those kids aren't on here yet either. Those kids
aren't
on here.
Those guys. I want the guys who have committed to this team. I want them on that roster now. The guys who aren't on the roster anymore because they left, like Marvin Jones Jr. or some of the other guys who have graduated, it's time to move them off the roster.
I believe it'll be updated in January when things actually are committable. When things actually.
Well, no, it doesn't commit there. You could have guys leaving again in the spring or whatever. Keep it up to date when a guy is fully cemented in. That's it. I'm done. I'm done. No, it's not stupid. It's not stupid. It's not stupid when people go there to look for stuff.
Who's going there?
I'm going there. And I'm sure there's others going there. Okay, enough. Let's move on. I wanted to get that off. Okay. So now I can take it off my list. There, right there. It's number
Okay.
3.
I'm glad you got it off your chest there. So some other things. So we talked about guys, we talked a lot about guys entering the portal, and the newest guy to jump in the portal was Grady Kelly. I don't think that comes as a surprise to anybody.
Quality backup and part-time starter. I thought he got more
So that
reps
surprised
in
you?
midseason.
Did that surprise you that he jumped in then?
It did a little bit. I thought he'd come back because that whole front line is empty.
Who
I'm
wants?
surprised.
No offense to him, but who's like where is he trying?
He's
to
already got some looks. He's
By
already
who?
got some
Who?
looks.
Who?
I saw him. Some of the names. I thought Michigan State was one.
Who?
There were a couple looks that I was a little surprised. I think he's just testing the waters. If he doesn't get what he wants, he's going to try to come back.
Yeah, it's no offense to him, but I don't think maybe he can go to a smaller school.
I think a lot
but he
of
was already at Colorado State. He was already there.
Baby,
so unless he
this
wants to go
is
back
a
down.
money year. That's what they're all being told.
But he didn't
This
have
is
money
the money.
stats. He didn't have
No.
money stats.
Well,
so,
it doesn't hurt for him to jump out there because people are always needing good, solid defensive line help. That doesn't mean he's an NFL guy. That doesn't mean he's a starter.
He had
you
7
need
tackles and 1
backups.
sack this year.
Okay, he didn't get, but he most of those probably came in the second half of the season.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. So I'm not gonna. So he was the newest guy to jump in. I think he was the latest guy to jump in. There's in the last couple of days. I don't think there's been anyone other than that. But we've had two new commits since Thomas Castellanos. So one is Marquise. Marquison's coming back. And I think we all know this isn't going to be a 800-yard tight end for us, but we know what Marquison did.
He had 3 catches. Two or three catches for
Arizona
4, 5,
State.
7 yards.
But once again, he hasn't been sitting on his ass for the last year. He's been in Arizona State training all year, which is great. And we know what he did for the 2023 team. He was a blocking tight end, and he helped the run game significantly that year.
Okay. Right.
And he was able to be a gadget player. He had a couple of touchdowns that year
yes,
too.
he did.
So
I kind of liked him when he was here. Honestly.
Yeah, he's more athletic for his size than you would expect, and he blocks well. We know more like.
Well, I think that's the key. If he can block, he's going to have to block in this offense, or he's not going to be on the field a lot.
Well, he will be on the field. That's why you brought him back, because the younger guys are not great blockers right now.
And
Thomas they're not great blockers yet.
I would love to see our tight ends used more in the short and medium passing game for Castellanos. And I think that's what could happen here. When you have your tight ends blocking most of the time, and they're either helping to chip on another guy or they're blocking a linebacker who may be coming, after a while, the linebacker, it has to account for him if he goes out for a few passes here and there. Okay. They have to start. They put the linebacker to sleep, and then he goes out and he gets a 10-yard pass.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think Castellanos could use these tight ends. And I think he's one for sure. Okay.
Well, if you watch pretty good hands. How he played at Boston College, and once again, that's a different offense, but they use the running backs a lot. He was able to hit the running backs in stride a lot, tight ends a lot.
Right.
And he looks to check down and when he's running around, and those receivers, I think our receivers this past year didn't do a great job of coming back to the quarterback and looking to get open when someone's scrambling.
Right.
And so that's something that hopefully Malzahn will teach the receivers and the receivers coach is come back to the football, get open when he's scrambling.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I used to watch that on TV. The guys would go down, the receivers would go down, run their route, and then just stop. Okay.
Yeah,
and if the ball, they just stayed there.
Yeah.
They didn't hey guys, go ahead and now get open somewhere else. Don't make it easy on the defensive back. Get separation. Run back to your quarterback. Run lateral with your quarterback. Give him something to look at. So, we seem to get no separation under the Ron Dugan's room. So I'm hoping that's going to change under Tim Harris Jr.
But to what you said that a couple of times, that the receivers got no separation. That could be true, but also when you watch the elite teams and great teams, sometimes you have to throw a guy open, or sometimes you have to put them in a position.
I understand.
Put the ball in a position where the receiver makes a play, and the receivers have to make a play.
I understand. Everybody's not going to be running wide open.
No, it's tough to get open against good competition. So sometimes the receiver has to make a play, and sometimes you have to allow the quarterback to throw it up so they can make a play.
Okay.
That's
fair. be fair, and sometimes it's route running, sometimes it's route design, play
exactly.
design
I agree.
to open guys up. Okay, I saw a play on the NFL last night. It was great. They took Cooper Kupp, who's the number one receiver. This is near the end of the game for who's at the Rams.
The Rams, yeah.
And they put him in motion from right to left. And when he went in motion across the quarterback's face, right, the linebacker on that side went with him and drew the middle linebacker 2 steps that way as well. And then they took the other tight end and he went down 10 yards, caught the ball for a first down, and pretty much ended the game. They thought Cooper Kupp's the guy, So that was a great design play, right? And it was 10-yard pass, maybe 8-yard pass.
Yeah.
Everything doesn't have to be complicated in the pass game.
No, it's no, and like you said, but you have to have a receiver that guys respect too for them to do that. So
and just catch the damn football. Oh, yeah, that's the main thing.
Right? I agree with you.
Okay, all right.
So the other thing to go along with what we were discussing there is we also had another player come back to us in terms of Omar Graham. So this is a guy that had entered himself, and I said he was the only guy of people who had entered the portal that I would probably want back at this point. Because I thought he grew towards the end of the year and he showed development, and he's a young guy. I think he has 2+ years left. And we need linebackers. I think he can contribute next year if we have a good room or if we have more players. And so it's glad that he's back. I don't know how much he got paid to get back. There are theories out there, though, of what's happening. There are theories, and I want to get your thoughts on this.
Theories?
So there's a theory out there on the 24/7. But my theory on Omar Graham taking himself out of the portal. So this guy posted. This is his theory, that the Battle's End Collective CEO Ingram Smith saw that there was little to no interest in FSU from half-decent portal players outside of UCF and Nebraska. So he paid Omar to enter the portal and then take himself out to try to generate buzz and hype of the portal interest in FSU. Tomorrow's headline, FSU acquired Omar via the portal, a linebacker. I think we should pay Hakeem to enter the portal next and then drop out so we can acquire a receiver. It's actually brilliant if you think about it, and many more will follow this newfound hype and buzz.
Yeah, that's pretty. Who wrote that? Let's give credit. Who wrote that?
Some idiot.
No, not some idiot. It's pretty.
He got downvoted 88 times.
Okay. All right. No, but that's cool. I mean, it's funny and it's clever.
It's funny.
It's funny. It's clever. Let's give credit where credit is due. No, first of all, Omar, I think a number of guys are going to test the market. Okay. Now, they may tell Norvell, listen, I just want to test the market, coach. I want to see how much I can make. And you know what? Most guys can make a very convincing argument of why they should do it, since about 1-2% people ever make it to the NFL and last for any length of time. So this is where they can make some money over 5 or 6 years, okay, if they're lucky. But Omar Graham was a significant contributor to a average, maybe below average linebacker core, and he can be a significant contributor if he stays healthy in 2025. So I'm glad to see him back, no matter what the circumstances were in that regard.
And just to be clear, I do not think the Battle's End paid him to enter the portal and then create buzz.
Yeah, I think the Battle's End. I think the Battle's End has enough complex issues without playing games. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. Because every time I see Ingram Smith, who barely comes back on the show there, on his show, he looks like he just rolled out of bed. And he probably did. I imagine he's pretty busy.
Yeah, I don't think doing a podcast is probably.
I hope he's enjoying. But he was the one who started the podcast years ago.
I thought Bud did. I thought Bud started.
No, Ingram did. Ingram did. And Bud Elliott. He's very good. I think he's a very respectable guy, and I like listening to all of. I listen across the board to who I think are the worst to the best. And of course, I think we're the best.
Yeah.
That's another opinion. But listen, it's good to have him in a linebacker room that has some issues.
Yeah. And speaking of collectives, you've brought up coaches should give back. You said Norvell.
Yeah, I
should give
said
back.
he should open his wallet if he feels really that bad and give some money back to somebody.
Well, speaking of that, Brian Kelly has announced that he will donate $1 million to LSU's foundation if fans raise over $1 million for the collective. So he'll match $1 million for $1 million.
Well, that's what we do to the animal shelter.
Scummy? But do you think that's scummy? The guy already makes over $10 million a year.
Nothing. That's nothing.
That's
$1 million
for a coach who's already underachieving,
which he's going to write off on his taxes anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's nothing. But
it's a scam.
Listen,
it's a scam.
Wait a minute. No, it's not a scam. Stop.
This guy has underachieved at LSU, and then he's going to say, well, if the fans, the 9 to 5 fans raise $1 million, I'll put $1 million.
No, listen.
Bullshit.
Anytime a person gives money, a large sum of money in this case, to a worthy foundation, I'm never going to criticize them.
Is the NI Collective a worthy foundation?
Okay. I'm not. NIL foundation.
This is NIL. This is what we're talking about.
I don't think.
What the hell do you think we're talking about?
It's worthy. It's worthy if
we're not talking about cancer research. We're talking about NIL Collective. Jesus Christ.
It's a worthy foundation if you're an LSU fan and you want to win the SEC. And if Brian Kelly doesn't probably get to the championship game next year, he's gone. I mean, LSU is not a crowd base you're going to fool around with.
And that's why, as a fan, I'd be like, dude, you've underachieved for 3 straight years. You had a Heisman winning quarterback you still couldn't win. Why am I having to raise $1 million so you put $1 million in? You've been stealing money from us. Put your $1 million in first, and then we'll see what I give.
Well, that's what we do. We do when we're doing a little fundraiser. We're such a minuscule. No, wait a minute. When we do a fundraiser, we put money in the pot to start. The money goes whether anybody else puts a dollar in or not. It goes out. Period.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's not doing that. He's saying I only give money if you fill it up first, which I think is scummy. I think that's super scummy. This guy's already taken enough money from the fans.
Okay. Well, he's not going to send you a Christmas gift.
There
given your comments.
I probably agree with that.
Okay. There
was some big name that went into the portal that I think will be the top of the leaderboard for transfer targets for Florida State here. Another UCF guy. And if anyone's familiar with recruiting at Florida State, Lee Hunter at UCF entered the portal. Big defensive tackle prospect. 21 and a half career tackles for loss. Some say he's a top 5 portal target right now with him entering his name.
Well, I'm sure Mr. White and Mr. Gus Malzone have probably talked about this guy, right?
This is a guy, though, that you will have to beat out. I think the big names for, like the top programs in the country for this kid, because this is a guy.
What kind of money are you putting on this guy?
$1 million minimum, probably. I mean, that's what you'll have to pay. I don't know if I would pay that, but that's what you'll have to pay. I mean, and you lost.
I may go into the portal to see how much you're going to pay me. How much am I worth?
Nothing. But
nothing.
I mean, you're talking about run stuffer, 6'4", 320, all Big 12 tackle. When you're talking about starter impact maker who's shown what he does, I think there's a couple of connections here. I think he was there. I don't think he was directly recruited by Malzahn, but I think he was there during the transition or when he coached there for a season. But also, he was heavily recruited by Florida State, and you lost out that recruiting battle for him. He went from Auburn to UCF, and obviously Malzahn was there. Malzahn coaches offense, not defense, but obviously he's the head coach. This guy, if you're looking for difference makers and, pot roast is your guy right here. You just lost, you've lost a lot on your defensive line at Florida State. And I don't know how many of the Nebraska guys you're going to be able to get in on the defensive line. I think this guy's an upgrade either way. I think this guy is, if you have the extra money or you get a surprise check in the mail from a booster, this is where you should send it.
Well, here's your defensive line right now. Blank. I mean, it's kind of like the O-line. I mean, the trenches. I mean, if I was Mike Norvell, it would probably give me a little bit of every day I'd want to be going. My first thing would be to ask everybody, where are we on the O line? Where are we on the D line? Because if you don't win those two battles.
But that's the thing. Are you willing to spend a little bit more for a known commodity like this, who's an all
Well, you have
Big 12
to.
player, or
You have
do you
to.
go after a guy who's lesser known from
No,
Tulsa
you need some
or
studs.
Rice?
You need a couple of studs on both sides of the ball.
So
you
you
need
have
a
to
couple
pay.
of
You're saying
studs and then build around. Yeah, you have to
Okay.
pay. You got to pay to
Okay.
play.
Okay, so
Hey.
you're going after this kid. You're going.
Hey,
after
you know
this
what
kid.
they say down in Mexico? No dinero, no chiquitas. I mean,
Okay.
that's
All
the
right.
way it works. You got to pay to play.
So you're
okay?
you're going after Hunter.
Well, I to be honest, I haven't really looked at his resume. Do you like his resume? It sounds good. He's all Big 12.
He's
right?
all big. I mean, they don't just vote for anybody. So
Well,
I
you know
think,
what? Pot Roast should be breaking down his tape to say we should go get this guy. We should go get this guy. If you're Mike Norvell, do you think he gives each coach a budget? I would. Wouldn't you think,
I think each
that
room
each
probably
room
has
has a budget?
to say
You
I wanna
can't
go after
just
this
you don't
kid.
have
Yeah.
unlimited money like the US government and go into trillions of dollars here. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, once again, this is a 1-year guy that you're going to get. I think that, and there's goods and bads with that, right?
I don't blame the guy. I don't blame the kid to try to get every dollar he can.
Oh no, but I think there's
Every
good and
dollar
bad
he
with
can.
that because it's 1 year. You're not going to have to go through and freaking
His job is not to rush the passer. It's to clog the middle, right? Stop the run in the middle, from guard to guard, and let everybody else clean up.
And does that fit into the way that Tony White wants to run it? Does he want a more?
I think
athletic-
so. Yeah, with the three,
3-5. Yeah.
3-5-5. You want
right.
that guy maintaining space in the middle. Yes, right.
I think it'll be interesting to see how eager they are to go after this guy, or do they let it go?
We're going to
see.
get eager about something because that's what you have right now. Look,
I'm just
I mean,
don't know.
who the hell's in the defensive line at this point? No, we can do that some other time. We're going to go through position by position in some other shows.
Well, I just like
see
I
what
said
the
earlier
fill
this
rate
week.
is.
I said I want to see more visits being scheduled because I'm not.
Well,
hearing-
Christmas is coming next week. No, not
no,
next
2
week.
weeks.
But, the week
But
thereafter.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of guys in the portal right now, and I haven't seen a lot of movement in terms of visits happening. Right?
I think they're on the phone
It's only
with
been
a lot
open
of
for a week,
guys.
but-
Right.
It's only
And
been open for a
listen,
week, but-
guys want to go and look at places. They want to schedule visits. You got the holidays coming up. I get it. Some guys probably, unless you bring the Brinks truck to his house, he's probably not going to come to Florida State sight unseen. If you bring enough money, he probably would. I'll look at it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Hey,
But-
we are on YouTube right now. How about that?
But I do think that is one of the advantages of wrapping up your quarterback quickly is because you take that off the board and you can just say let's focus on everything else now. Like and to talk about quarterback briefly, it sounds like Luke Kromenhoek is looking at Mississippi State. That this is going to turn into a whole story.
Okay, let's not spend a lot of time.
No,
on
I'm
Luke.
not.
I am tired of it already. I am tired of the story of Luke, his family, the amount of money that was being thrown around. I don't give a shit. He's not on the roster. If the Seminoles.com would update.
It's a story of kids and people getting bad
Good
advice,
luck.
I think,
And good
bad
luck.
agent. And
Good
this
luck.
it's a tale for everybody. They should know who their agent is. They should.
Yeah.
I think the kid should be
Stupid.
more
Number
involved
one
in their-
rated. Give me a break.
I don't really get that. I don't really.
That's
get that.
ridiculous. But yeah, I'm kind of tired of it. And they fell in love. FSU fandom fell in love with Luke. They fell in love with Julian Armella. You know what I mean? And these guys are gone. So, everybody's sad. Come on. Don't get emotionally tied up
Who
with
is
these
sad about
players
Julian
now.
Armella? Who is
Okay.
sad
Yeah, he
about
was a
Julian-
fan favorite.
How? He never played.
Atkins, they all wanted. He was going to be the stud, man.
I wish he would have
Okay.
turned out, but I'm not mad at him. But I'm not
not
mad.
mad at him. I'm not mad at him. But I want
I don't-
fans to get over it. Get over it.
I think they
Okay,
are.
Jordan Travis is gone. I get it. He is gone. Okay, we need to let all of that go and focus on who we're going to bring in now.
All right. Well, I'll bring another question to you. So
Yep.
say Castellanos wasn't signed. Say like he wasn't available or he signed with
Right.
some other school.
Right.
You just said you were willing to give big money to Hunter. You know, you said lock up that position. You need a star on the line.
You need a stud on the offensive line. You need a stud on the defensive line, and you need a quarterback who can operate.
Well, what if you didn't have Castellanos? How much are you willing to pay for a star at quarterback?
I probably wouldn't pay Ewers the kind of money they're talking about.
Why?
Because I don't think our team is built championship ready for 2025, and it'd be kind of a waste of money, for that. You think a quarterback is just going to come in here with a magic stick and erase all the other weaknesses you have on this team?
But what
No
if you
way.
build an average
You
O-line?
need
What if you
a
could build an average
competent-
O-line?
You need a competent quarterback who can move the football, okay? And Castellanos is that guy right now because everybody's down.
I'm talking about if they did it. I was talking
listen.
hypothetically. We're
No,
not talking
no,
about
no,
this isn't going to happen this
They
this isn't
didn't.
gonna
No,
happen.
they weren't going to go after Ewers. He wants too much money. It's unrealistic. So why?
I was
waste
talking
time?
about you. I was talking about you. Would you have paid or been negotiating if you
With
could have
Ewers?
said, yeah? That's not.
There's
I'm not
no
talking
harm.
about-
There's no harm in calling all the top quarterbacks and saying, "Listen, we'd like you to come in here. We think you got a great opportunity. You could be our leader, but we can only pay you X." There's nothing wrong with that. The guy can say, "No, that's not going to be okay. Thanks a lot." There's nothing wrong with any player, quarterback, wide receiver, offensive lineman, defensive. That's just sitting down with people and talking to them. And Florida State should be doing that at the portal level and at the high school level. We should be going after the best people we think can fit our system.
But
Okay. The last time I looked, Quint Ewers is not a dual threat quarterback. Okay. He's not. And now they're in some kind of controversy there in Texas with whether he's going to start or Manning kid's going to start the championship, the first round, blah, blah, blah. So I don't want to get wrapped up in hypotheticals. We have our guy. I
wasn't saying we didn't have our guy. I didn't say we didn't have our guy.
Let's focus on bringing in some studs in the offensive line and defensive line area. Now, when you talk about the downside, everybody talk about Castellanos. Castellanos quit on his team. Well, last night. Last night's game. This is the transition. I think it's the new football. Okay, the new football that we're seeing, and we're starting to see it a little bit. And I'm not saying it's good. I don't think it's going to be good for the players. Is on the 49ers last night. The 49ers had a linebacker late in the game, just leave the field. He left the field. He said, "I don't want to play anymore in this game. I don't want to play." And that's Devontae Campbell. And so the coach got asked in the presser, "What was the deal with that?" And he said, "No, he didn't." He said he didn't want to play anymore, and he left. And someone said, "Coach, has that ever happened to you in coaching football?" He said, "Never." And who's the guy? He's very controversial on ESPN. What's his name? I can't. He's very opinionated. I like him.
Stephen A.
Stephen A. goes, he would have not left the locker room as a 49er. And I agree with that. I probably agree with that. The guy I think it's kind of the new thing. And this is what Castellano got caught up in. What he should have done if I was his mentor, I would have said, "Okay, Bill O'Brien sat you down. Either one, you don't fit his system, or he doesn't think you're playing up to par, or he doesn't like your attitude, or you're injured, or whatever it is. Just sit down, do the best you can, take the clipboard, help the guy that's in there, and be a good teammate. And then at the end of the season, go into the freaking portal." Okay, but it seems like players now have been so they haven't been brought up in the old school way, because I don't think a guy like Gus Malzahn, Herb Hand are going to put up with too much nonsense. And Florida State needs old school right now to kick ass, take names, figure out who can play and who can't play, and get them the hell off the team. And if a guy doesn't want to play or it's too tough, then leave. Okay? You have that opportunity when windows open up. But you're starting to see more of this. Okay? And I think as some of these coaches like Belichick, the O'Briens, and I'm not saying these guys are the best coaches right now, but as they start to migrate into the college ranks, there's going to be less and less bullshit going on, okay? And because now you can get paid, the fans can criticize you. It's not rah rah sis boom bah anymore. Yeah. All right. So that's my take on this. But it was very interesting. The guy just left the field, and he doesn't understand. They're playing another linebacker in his place who's an all-pro coming back from an Achilles injury, and he's trying to get some reps. And this guy didn't like it. Well, guess what?
He went into the locker room at some point.
Yeah, he said he didn't want to play today.
Yeah.
Play today?
Yep.
The coaching staff?
He did when I asked him why he didn't want to go in. So.
During the game or before?
No, that was in the third quarter.
With Devondre opting to not go into the game, what do you need to do to ensure that you don't lose the rest of the locker room?
I haven't lost anybody. That's somebody who doesn't want to play football. That's pretty simple. I mean, I think our team and myself, we know how we feel about that. So I don't think we need to talk about him anymore.
There you go. Okay, stop. Listen, first of all, there were very good questions from the press crew there. Very good. Those NFL pressers are much better. They ask tough questions. Sometimes the coaches don't want to answer it. That's okay. Ask the question. Don't be afraid you're going to lose your access, because you're not. Okay. Good answers, professional questions, and the coach Kyle Shanahan there made good answers there. And this guy is not going to be playing football in San Francisco. He'll get picked up somewhere else, I'm sure. But you know what I mean? So this is kind of what happened to Thomas Castellanos. I think the coaching staff here is good with him, and I think he's going to win over a lot of fans before it's over if he can stay healthy.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, that's
and I'll take that one off my list.
That one's off the list now.
Okay, and let me just add this while we're on that.
All right.
Okay,
All right.
Let me just add this: accountability. I have accountability written down here, KB.
Yes.
Accountability at all levels, at our governmental level, our presidents who say stuff should be held accountable. News media should be held accountable for what they write and what they say. Sports, coaches, programs, and players now are getting tons of money that most Americans will never see in their lifetime. So there is an accountability for all of this. And now they can be questioned more. They can be held accountable for statements they make. And that should bring us to Cam Davis on accountability. Okay. Now, Cam Davis got spun up on the departure of his quarterback friend and freshman class mentor and friend, Luke Kromenhoek. Mm-hmm. And when some comments started coming out about Luke in this money situation and why he left or didn't leave, I don't care why he left. I think he left for better opportunities, and he got little emotional about us bringing in another quarterback, that we didn't have any faith in him, and blah, blah, blah. I think it was a mistake. I think he could have got paid and stayed here and developed more, but he left. So Cam took exception to that from my understanding. And I didn't spend all day looking into this situation, but that's my understanding. So I think you may have a little bit more on what Cam Davis said and how it was taken by some fans and some media types.
I mean, you pretty much said it. I think that
fake fans, that's the words. Quote, Cam Davis said that there are a lot of fake fans at FSU.
Yeah, and I think it was taken the wrong way. I think it's
And he put out a new statement to clarify some of that. I don't know if it
Yeah,
clarified it or not.
yeah. I don't. I was trying to look it up because
I looked
he
it up. I
deleted-
read it.
He
Yeah.
then pull it up. Because
You want me to read the thing?
No, but you don't have anything
Okay,
ready.
but
as always.
apparently Cam's original text tweet that went out has been deleted.
Exactly.
But you
So-
can't delete it. It can be deleted on that, but it's out there. Okay. And it was just about basically he didn't like the criticism Luke was getting. Okay. And that was the fake fans that if everything's going well, then fans are good. If it's not going so well, then it's fake fans. Well, I don't necessarily agree with that, but here's my point.
So
Cam Davis, and this is where he's getting his criticism now. Cam Davis, first of all, he has the right to say whatever he wants. Okay. And back in the day, coaches Bobby Bowden, Jimbo Fisher didn't allow their players to put out shit like this, put out anything. I think they were excluded from social media. But Cam Davis has the right to say whatever he wants unless he's violating the coach's policy. But here's where he gets criticized. Cam Davis, who came in here highly taunted, really didn't have a great year, but I don't blame him for that because he had the worst offensive line in the history of Florida State, so he can't be really fairly evaluated. But maybe he should be a little bit more sensitive, but he wanted to protect his friend Luke Kromenhoek. So
and they were.
I don't see it as a big deal. It got a little bit of flare up. It's going to go away like anything else. And I don't see it as a big deal that some folks are making out of it.
No, and he said, and he deleted it, and he said that he was more saying anyone who's going to the players' comments and bashing them, or anyone who openly talks about players on social media, and stuff like that. And I think that there's two different ways to this, and I agree with them on one thing. I think anyone who goes into a high school kid's like commitment thing and says, you made the wrong decision, you're going to suck at XY school. I think that's super weird. If you're going into, and I saw this on signing day, people with fake avatars in their social media on their Twitter would go onto a kid's commitment post and say, you're awful, you're going to the wrong school, you're going to suck. This is one of the kid's biggest days of his life so far, and you're going to go shit on him directly.
Okay, but here's what the kids
let me finish my statement.
Relax.
The guy is a kid, a 17-year-old kid is posting his excitement of signing with X school, and you as a grown fucking adult are going to go post on it because you can't have enough emotional stability not to do it. You are an idiot.
Now, when you say you, you're not referring to me.
Whoever out there is doing it.
Not me. I'm not doing that.
Okay, then you're not an idiot.
Okay.
But that is fake and it's weird. Anyone who does that is weird. Now, to people, once you're in college or once you're a player, I don't think you should be going and directly tagging players and saying, "Hey, so and so, you fucking suck," or "You're terrible. Go do things." Like, I think that's wrong too. Now, do you have a right to your opinion? Absolutely. Do you think so and so had a bad game? You can say that. Absolutely. Is there a respectful way to do that? Absolutely. Are there people who do it the wrong way and go overboard? Absolutely. Do fans have the right to... Are you not a real fan if you call your team out? No. You're a real fan if you do call your team out, because that means that you're going to continue to support them even if they are garbage. So I think he's gotten it mixed up a little bit in terms of real and fake and who's not a real fan. Now, like I said in one of my posts and we talked about last show, don't hate a player for when they leave. Don't bash a player when they leave. Support the guys who want to be in the program. Support Cam Davis for wanting to stay in the program. And when Luke goes, he goes. Forget about him. He's gone. Focus on the guys who want to be a part of this program. Castellanos wants to be here. He wants to commit to this program. Support him. Don't bash him while he's here. And that's what I don't understand. Like, those fans don't make sense to me, of the guys who are going to shit on players the day they commit to us. Like, that does seem fake to me. That does seem not feel like a real fan. Just saying, you suck, this guy suck for us.
Those are trolls.
Those are trolls because you're not pointing to real things. You're not saying, well, you're not giving real. You're just saying this guy sucks. I don't want him. That's not real criticism. That's not something you can do something with, right? That's just being a troll. So I do think that's a fake fan. That's not a real fan in my eyes. So I can see both what Cam is saying. I do think he had a gut reaction, like you said, an emotional reaction. But he's a young guy. His friend left. He saw people bashing him on social media, and he reacted. I'm not mad at him for that. He's still with us. He's committed to us. He wants to play for us. That's great. And if he decides he doesn't want to, that's his decision. But I hope he stays. I hope we see him healthy next season.
Okay, that's a good summary of all that. We're not going to spend any more time on it. Here's one thing: these young guys will be taught, and they should be taught by their position coaches, by Coach Norvell. It's about not only making football players; it's about developing young men. Don't you always hear the coaches say that?
Yeah.
It's developing young men. So part of that development, especially for highly visible athletes, as they are at Florida State, okay, and across the country, is they need to be taught, don't pay attention to all the social media. You'll hear the pros say that a lot. You'll hear the best pros say that. I don't read that stuff.
It's only going to get worse.
I don't read that. I know it.
And
but
if Cam goes to the next level, it's going to get worse.
You hear the pros, the best pros say, I don't read that stuff.
Yeah. They have people who manage it. They have real people who manage their social. So
that's right. They don't care what we say. They don't care what some knucklehead out there says about them.
Yeah.
The same knucklehead who writes all this stuff, who doesn't have a job, okay, perhaps. And this is his coming out, So this is a learning experience for these young guys like a Cam Davis, and Cam supposedly deleted it. And so that's probably the right thing. Just go play football, Cam. Cam, you seem to have abilities to play this game. You've worked hard. Just play the game and try to get the reps that you can get. Okay. But this doesn't mean Cam Davis, if he doesn't like this team next year, he could leave.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody. That's the way
and it's not to say he can't have an opinion, but what many people should learn is that you're never going to beat the internet. There's always going to be a side that disagrees with you. So you're never going to convince everyone that you're right on Twitter, on Facebook, wherever you are, right? So he can post something. There's always going to be one person that hates it.
Well, this is why
that trolls him. So that's where I'm saying, as a young guy, learn from it.
The old school
coaches. You can have a voice. You can have a voice.
The old school coaches, Gus Malzahn being one, Bobby Bowden, all the old guys, okay, Nick Saban, they had rules. Part of those rules, Nick Saban's rule, and you go to an away game, you're all going to be dressed the same. You got the crimson blazers, ties, white shirts. There were rules. You will not talk to the press without going through me, the head coach, or your position coach. There's a hierarchy, just like there was in the military. But we're so soft today. Hear me out. Okay. Most of the kids that have grown up, our kids, grandkids, are so soft that they want it all. And then when they get criticized, they don't know how to handle it, because a lot of these kids have never had criticism.
But I think
they didn't grow up. They were the best guy in Little League. They were the best guy in high school. And if the coach said something, well, I'm not playing. Okay, and then the coach would back off or something. What I'm saying is the kids that get pushed the hardest at the lowest levels are the kids usually do the best. Yeah. But the social media thing is, if they want to learn something, stay away from the social media like these platforms.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he should always have his voice, but you're never social media is a toxic place. And like you said, you're never going to win. And he's a smart kid. He's got 3.7. It's only going social media only gets worse as you grow and go to next level.
Of course.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, that's how these guys also get paid their NIL. The more followers you have, that's your reach. That's your reach, and that's how you get more NIL deals. So it's a vicious cycle with these kids. I don't want to go further into it, but that's how these brands see you.
They have to
followers. They have to get followers because that's how they see reach, and it's a toxic cycle. So it's hard for these kids because they have to get followers.
One of these kids, when they did get recruited out of high school, they started right away. Hey, hit my likes, subscription.
That's how it works.
And they said, some of them said, that's how I'm going to get paid my NIL. So when you play that game, when you sit down at the poker table, you gotta take the crap that comes with it. You got to get the bad come off the table. Oh, it is kind of like that.
But that doesn't mean I sign up to be abused. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
If your son was playing, would you tell him to be active on social media?
No, I would tell him to. There's steps you can take, but that doesn't give the person on the other side of the screen the agency to be an asshole. People need to start taking accountability for the way they treat other people and what they post. Take a second and be like, if that was my son, would I say that shit to him directly like that?
Well, of course not. You're going to protect him like Big Dave does with DJU and his son at Oregon. Big Dave, it plays that role.
But it's just like,
and I bet you, and I'm not a big fan of DJ. Of Big Dave, one way or the other. Okay, I respect who he is. I bet he's taken a pretty good role how he protects and promotes his kids. He cannot be criticized for that. Okay, but I bet he tells them stay off of the social media. Focus on what you're supposed to be doing at school and on the field. Focus on your future, not what these knuckleheads out here have to say about you.
And more parents should be doing that. All right.
And that's lessons they'll learn.
Yeah. So off of that, the last thing I want to touch on, obviously, is the North Carolina deal with Bill Belichick, which is, it's obviously news and it's big.
Good for the ACC and so college football.
3 years, $30 million. It is what it is. We'll see. Obviously, we'll see what kind of, does Arch Manning, if Ewers comes back to Texas, does Arch Manning go to, does Arch Manning go to
maybe Ewers goes to North Carolina.
Yeah.
I don't think Arch Manning's leaving Texas. I don't see that happening.
I think the issue is that UNC isn't known for having a huge NIL collective. So where are they getting this money from?
They had a hell of a lot of money to hire Belichick.
Well, that's the thing, but that's a different pot than the NIL money. That's a different budgetary pot. So, where are they getting this money to build this roster up for him? The other thing is that,
well, here's a good point. What Galaxy King just put up.
What is that? Oh,
his son is going to be with him on that staff. Because his son was coached under him at New England.
That's a good.
I didn't see that Galaxy King. Is his son is coming with him to UNC? Is that correct?
Well, that's a good point. But to that point, is if he is there for 3 years, and I didn't know that was true or not. If that is true, I think the other portion that I don't think a lot of people knew is that this contract is weirdly laid out with the buyout.
Yeah.
And so the buyout is dropped in under a year. He could basically leave UNC before the season starts. And I think either he has a great agent or Belichick is trying to get some great PR and then make a move somewhere. So Brad Crawford at 24/7 says, his buyout at UNC drops from $10 million to $1 million on June 1st, 2025. Obviously, before the season starts. 3 months before the season starts? July, August, September? 3 months before the season starts. And so he could leave for an NFL job at minimal cost before the first game. Why the hell would UNC allow a contract buyout to drop that much on the first year? Literally, this will be 6 months into his contract.
Wanted. That's what Belichick and his agent wanted, and that's what he got.
So is this just purely a PR move? Like, what
No. I don't see Belichick leaving before first year. I see him coaching at least a year. Now, here's the deal. Belichick is like 10 wins away in the NFL of being the all-time leader in the history of coaches in the NFL. He is going to want to go back and get those 10 wins, which over 2 or 3 years, even on a shit team like Carolina or somebody, he could get those wins. And he's in Carolina. So what I'm saying is he knows that record is out there. So he's going to want to hop back to the NFL at some point, in my opinion. Okay. I think he'll coach at least the 1 year, 2025 at UNC. We'll see how that goes. And then he's probably going to get an offer to come back to the NFL, but he'll do at least 1 year there. And then potentially maybe hands the job over to his son.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Do you think they're going to do like a coach in waiting thing and say?
Oh, they haven't announced that. They're not going to say that.
I think that's a good comment though, Galaxy. If his son is on board and he's been training up, they say, okay, if Bill's going to leave, he buys himself out for $1 million. Then he just hands the keys over to, and if it's going well, then his son takes over, maintains the pipeline, the recruiting, everything like that, and it just the bus keeps moving.
But that could be behind the scenes.
No, exactly. They're not going to say that, but I think that would be an interesting strategy if Bill comes in as all the lights on him. He does the recruiting pitches and stuff like that. Gets some big names in recruiting wise.
Yep.
And then after a year, his son then takes over the keys, or they tell those recruits, okay, you come in, Bill's going to do his thing, then my son's going to take it could be interesting. It could be a very interesting strategy by UNC here. Because like you said, I don't see Bill here for more than 2 years, maximum. And I don't think this is going to be – I don't think he's going to win like 10 games next year at UNC. I don't think this is going to be like a
we don't play him, and we don't play him.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get a bunch of 5-stars at UNC the next couple of years. Like, UNC is about to get the Colorado treatment by ESPN for the next year, so everyone be ready for that. But I just don't think this is going to be a massive turnaround that Bill Belichick's going to do. But like you said, it's just to leverage get his experience back up, to show an NFL team, give me another chance. And he struggled in New England the last 4 years. He had a losing record the last 4 years without Tom Brady.
Right.
It's like you said, showcase.
It's going to be on his mind, the 10 wins, to be the all-time winningest coach in the NFL.
100%.
10 wins is in your mind. You're saying, I want to compete. Most coaches will always say that it's the competition. Now, he's coming to North Carolina. He's not going to go out doing all the knocking on the doors. No. He's going to be more as like a Bobby Bowden as he got older, or a Mac Brown. You're going to have all the young guys doing the hard work. He's going to go in. He's going to make some phone calls. He's going to show up on the top. He's the closer. Yeah. I'm Bill Belichick. He's going to have his 6 Super Bowl rings there on his hand. Yeah. I get it. One of their offensive linemen who had gone into the portal already came out of the portal.
Yeah.
So just like on Deion Sanders, there's a flash to this. But I will say Deion Sanders brings more flash and bang than Bill Belichick. Well,
I think
if you know anything about Bill Belichick, his press conferences are horrible. So I think get used to that.
I think a referral letter from Bill Belichick to a team is bigger than Deion's right now in terms of building championship. Bill Belichick's had to build championship rosters. Deion has not had to do that.
Yeah, but
so if that offensive lineman comes back, he performs, and he says, "Bill, will you be my reference to these teams as I go into the combine?" And Bill goes, "Yeah, I will." That vote of confidence from a Super Bowl winning coach who's built rosters is
there's no doubt. Yeah,
that's why I play. That's what I would be selling if I was Bill, because
he's going to bring some more NFL guys. They're probably going to be older guys. It'll be interesting the mix he gets. He'll have some mix there, but he's going to bring in some NFL experience because he's selling, like I've been saying for a long time. I've been saying this.
Yeah.
This whole thing at Florida State has to be modeled now under an NFL type program to mold it out of the clay we have available to us, from the GM to the off field to the on field, and sell it to the kids. This is an NFL model program.
Yeah.
We're here to do our best to get you to you want to go. You want to go to the NFL, correct? Well, I'm not sure. You're not sure? We don't need you. Next guy. No fooling around. We're not going to play games. You're going to get paid, and we're going to be hard on your ass.
Yep.
And if that's not the experience you want, then you're in the wrong place, because we're competing for championships. And you got to believe that. I believe that. I mean, I could go knocking on doors tonight and sell that. Okay.
Yep.
But you got to tell these kids that's what it is. We can't just, he's a legacy kid, so let's just put him on the roster. He can be on the scout team. No more of that shit. Okay. Don't do that. Okay. Unless the old man's dropping a couple of mil into the boosters. Then And then, yeah, he can play on a scout team. We can work that shit out. I mean, it's always going to be that way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But, somebody up here, Galaxy Geek said, no NFL team's going to hire. Bullshit. They won't. If
Bill Belichick? They're saying they'll hire Bill Belichick?
Remember,
have you seen
at 75.
Have you seen the trash they're hiring as coaches in the NFL
but
right
what
now?
I'm
they
saying
can't
is
fire anything.
Let's tell this for what it is. And that is, this is entertainment at the best. And college football is right there with it.
All Bill has to do is win 8 games for one season. He'll get a shot at the NFL.
Exactly.
And look at their schedule.
He may not even have to, if he wins enough to go to a bowl game, 6 games and goes to a bowl game, shit, they're going to be, it's not going to really matter. There's guys out there that want him brought in to put butts in seats.
They have one ranked team on their schedule next season.
So when he wins that 100, that record-setting game, that stands are filled. Okay, that's what this shit's about. You don't? I think the playoffs, the 12-team playoffs, would have loved to have the Colorado Buffaloes out of the Big 12 win that and be in there with Dion. It just brings people to the stadium.
So plenty of people in the stadium.
No, I understand. Don't get me wrong. Okay, don't get me wrong. What I'm saying is, the NFL, just like when I don't know if I sent you that video about Brett Favre getting confronted.
Brett Favre's a scumbag.
He got confronted.
Yeah, because he stole
by
money.
Gastineau. Was that Gastineau?
I don't know.
Mark Gastineau, who had this record of 22 sacks in a season. That he confronted him and said, I want my sack back, because Brett Favre laid down on the play and allowed, who was that? The guy that's on TV a lot now. He's pretty good. What's his name with the Giants, to get the sack that put him at 23.
Okay.
And Mark Gastineau, who has some mental issues because of playing football and getting banged around, confronted him. It was amazing to watch. I mean, but don't say things don't happen for a reason. Like a couple of people have said, Bill Belichick wants that history-making win, and they'll find a way. Strahan, right here. Thank you, through zero. Strahan, yeah. So that whole thing. Let's realize what we have here. This football is the greatest entertainment thing that people love. And it's huge money with TV now, as we know, with ESPN, ABC, all the networks. Now, the Christmas game, if you don't have Netflix, you can't watch football on Christmas Day.
That's not true.
So if you want to watch the games, the NFL games,
that's not true.
Then what?
That's not true.
What did you say? That's not true? It is true. And I don't understand this. Now let's launch into this shit for a minute.
Oh God, please.
Now wait a minute. Okay. Maybe Belichick will bring in Brett Favre as the quarterback.
Yeah, well, maybe if he gives back the money he
okay. No, he's not in jail. Is he in jail? Was he convicted?
Well, there's
he was
700K.
accused.
There's
no,
700K. No, it's not.
No,
it's
it
not
says
accused.
Accused doesn't mean charged. What are you talking about?
He still owes 700K in misspent welfare money.
But he's not in jail. He wasn't convicted of any
sorry.
crime.
Alleged, Brett. Alleged.
No. Let's make sure that's straight.
Alleged,
he wasn't
Brett.
accused of any. He was accused, but he never was convicted and nothing like that. So maybe he'll go on to be a coach. And he's been coaching some high school stuff, I think.
Sorry, Brett. Alleged, Brett.
He was a competitor, though. I always said about Brett Favre, he loved to play football. He loved to be on that field.
I love Brett Favre, but I didn't like.
He's paid a price for it. Now I forgot what I was going to say. Damn it! What was I going to say?
I don't know. Netflix and NFL. I don't know. I don't know where you're going. Okay.
I got this. I don't understand something. We will get nicked for a little thing about music, or if there was a music going on in my background here, we'll get a strike on our channel over nothing, whether it's a song or the war chant or whatever we may play. You get a strike. But I don't understand on YouTube on Saturday afternoons during the main season, you can be on YouTube and watch an entire game, an entire college football game coming out on some Chinese letters. How the hell does that not get a strike?
Why are you complaining about it? I don't.
No,
I'm not
complaining about it.
I don't know.
I'm not complaining about it. What I'm saying is I'd like to understand it.
I don't know. And I'm not an IT person.
You're probably watching it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why you're ratting them out.
And by the way, for all our fans out there, YouTube TV on January the 13th, I believe it is going up $10 a month for the basic TV service.
It's gone up so
it'll be $82, I think.
It's gone up
without tax.
It's gone up so much.
So generally what I do is I'll disconnect after the playoffs and a Super Bowl and wait till fall.
It will now cost almost $1,000 a year.
But it is good. It is good content.
For $1,000 a year, it better be.
They're probably going to disconnect us here because we're ripping it. It is good content, I must admit, and I will miss it some. And we're not sponsored by YouTube TV here.
Yeah, I wish we were. Jesus
but they
Christ.
That's a pretty big hike.
It started when I first started YouTube TV like 7 years ago. It was like $35 a month.
It was?
Yes. I loved it. It was the same functionality and not many more channels. Like it's not like I'm getting extra sports packages with $82 a month. It's just same. It's ESPN. I don't know what extra stuff they're adding that makes it come.
Look at these guys, Vietnamese channels, Chinese letters. How is that not picked up by the algorithm?
Don't rat them out. That's what I may be using again next year. So don't rat them out.
Yeah, but no, it's getting even more. I mean, when it first started, it's like the entire game now.
That's how I can cancel
interruptions.
That's how you can watch the bowl games. You just cancel YouTube TV and watch those.
You could. I mean, I'm going to be looking for that. I don't get it. I don't get it. Now, wait a minute. Chance, it's not monetized.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
Why would a Chinese guy or whoever the hell's doing this?
Because they want subscribers and then they flip and sell the channel with all the subscribers on it.
Really?
That's what they're doing.
Are they the same guys that are?
While we're talking about subscribers, subscribe to the channel, like the video, do those things.
Yeah, listen. Are they the same guys that are flying the drones over New Jersey?
Okay, we're getting off track here.
Well, I'd like the answer to that too. And it's unacceptable for the White House to say we don't know who it is.
All right, we got a couple of late bulletins coming in.
Is that crazy shit?
Another UCF starting offensive guard is coming in, or expected to.
Oh my God, we're gonna have their whole line here.
But this guy, once again, 19 career starts, 6'5", 305. Once again, we already talked about where UCF ranked nationally in rushing this year, so it's got to be a priority target for Florida State. I would expect them hopefully to get him on campus next week. But it sounds like maybe their entire starting line is going to be entering the portal. So
we'll have the whole UCF starting line.
But once again, if Florida State fans bitch about that, then they're delusional, because if we get UCF's entire starting line or close to it, that means then it's an immediate upgrade. I would rather that. I would almost rather their entire starting line.
You know why? Because you would have a line in sync.
Yes, exactly. Like, I would love that.
Well, because you always hear, well, these guys don't know each other and they got to communicate and all this shit. I mean,
this would be great.
It might be. Here's the bottom line. Here's the bottom line. Accountability and productivity. I don't give a shit where they come from. Now you got me all hyped up. I don't care where they come from. It doesn't matter where they come from. The question is, Herb Hand and Gus Malzahn are in charge of the offense. Okay? Norvell is fully accountable. And these guys, if they can put 150 yards per game minimum on each game, then it's a success.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. The other thing that dropped was true freshman receiver Mario Carver from Mississippi State dropped his top 4, and Florida State is in it. So once again, a receiver.
In it to win it.
So this is a guy that would have what 2+ years
Okay.
of time looking at
but
his stats.
Yeah, what's his stats? That's what counts. What
Yeah, pretty good.
productivity does he have
He had a decent true freshman year. He's a small guy
against
5'10".
top competition?
Yeah, so one true freshman year, this guy as a true freshman has played better than Hakeem Williams in 2 years. So, they see something. Once again, is this like a Jalen Brown situation again? Is this like a Benson situation again?
It could be a Ja'Kai Douglas type situation.
I don't. But once again, I already said that I want a guy that has 9 to 1,000 yards. I don't know. Are we getting ourselves in trouble again? Like looking at a guy that has high upside, or is this going to push a guy out? If this pushes the guy out, I'm fine. Because this guy has shown in the year that he has shown some flashes. But I don't want flashes. I want proven production. If we take this guy, this was an awful team, by the way, right? Mississippi State was a god-awful team. But this means we cannot take our foot off the pedal for guys like Casey Concepcion. We can't take our foot off the guy from Charlotte. We need proven production. This is not proven production. This is a guy that had 300 yards on a terrible team. Somehow worse than Florida State.
Somehow he could get open and catch the football.
So if this guy comes in, great. But, I'm not going to hate it, but we need guys with 9,000 yard seasons who've shown it. This guy's young.
Listen.
Great.
Football is not like golf where it's just one guy hitting the ball. It's the whole team. The offensive line has to block. The quarterback has to make the throw. The receiver has to get open and make the catch. There's so many working dynamics, okay? But I agree with you. We can't bring in high potential or this guy has a high ceiling. I'm tired of those terms. But I want to see proven production, okay, of some level against good competition. And he seems to fit in that circle. That doesn't mean we're going to go and get him. He may want to get paid more than we're willing to budget for. And that's how this thing's going to play out. So a lot of guys will be offered potentially at certain rates. And if they don't take it, a lot of these guys are just trying to leverage and get the most they can get. I get it.
He seems like he would be your big play explosive guy. Like two receptions, 75 yards against Georgia. 3 for 62. He would be your long field threat, your speedy downfield runner. Once again.
Now here's what I was talking about earlier. Champs 99. He's going back to what I hear out there on the chatter. It's going to be hard to get good wide receivers to come play with Thomas as a quarterback because they believe that he's going to run a lot. The running backs are going to run a lot, and there's not going to be many passes in the air. So if you're a receiver, you have to take that into consideration because you're trying to show up and show off. You're trying to get on video, catching tapes. That's the only way you get to the next level. All right. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're willing to come in and get paid a lot and maybe you got 30 receptions, now you're only going to get 17. I mean, that's kind of the rag that people are recruiting against Florida State for some of the top receivers. They're throwing this type of message out, and Champs 99 has kind of summarized it there. That's what we're hearing out there in the chatter. So thanks for bringing that up, Champs. Thanks to everybody. Everybody's got good comments out there tonight. Yep.
Now, to ask everyone this, I just showed you, I'm showing you Mario Carver, true freshman, did those stats. Would you rather that guy come in or this kid? Javen Watley, Chattanooga, FCS, All-American, has career 2,100 career yards, 18 touchdowns. FCS, veteran player, once again, hasn't played against the top competition, but this is what I'm talking about. Veteran guy, he's done it before, FCS All-American, veteran, versus a higher upside, 4 or 5-star recruit, true freshman at Mississippi State SEC kid. Who would you guys rather have in your program if you had to choose one? These are the decisions that the staff has to make. Veteran, present.
Well, competition counts. I mean, that counts.
I don't disagree with you.
And then you might be able to get this guy at a bargain rate and bring in a stud from the played against D1, high D1, SEC, Big Ten competition, and bring in a guy like this. You need 2 guys on the outside.
2 to 3. You need
2 to 3. So you might be able to go get a guy like this for depth, right? People
This
get
guy's not
hurt.
coming. This guy's not coming in for depth. I can tell you, this guy is not. Coming
No,
in
but
for depth.
people get hurt in football.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
you know,
agree.
that's why we hear about the offensive line. God, there's so more injuries on the offensive line.
But this is the question that staff is going to have to evaluate, and I think fans have to evaluate. Do you prefer a guy like this who's had like the mistake we made? Do you want a guy with experience like this that you can most likely probably get, or do you want to compete for the guy at Mississippi State? Like, who do you want to spend more money or time on? That's the debate. That's the debate.
Every morning when they show up at work at 6:30. That's what they're talking about, which would be fascinating. And I'm willing to spend some time there at Knowles Center operations on free. You don't even have to pay me.
Yeah.
And I'll just film off my phone.
Yeah.
I use my phone, and it's good. Works good. Okay. Bargain basement.
All right.
But
all right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It'll be interesting too. Florida State is offering a lot of tight ends. We know we got Biscuit back, and I'm not going to go through all the names, but they're hosting a guy, I believe, from Jaden Platt from Texas A&M. Florida State is going after multiple tight ends, even though they have.
They're going to get that guy out of UCF. Did they sign him?
Well,
already?
yeah, UCF. I think he visited. I don't think he's committed, but he is definitely coming in.
He'll come in. He's going to come in.
That's what I'm saying. And the guy from Louisiana who they think is looks like Jaheim Bell, like versatile kind of tight end hybrid role. They are going after multiple tight ends, which is interesting because they have Amari, they have the kid from the Nebraska kid from high school coming in, Lofton. They have, but they lost. I mean, they lost 2 or 3 guys from the portal, tight end wise. But it seems like they want to retool that room. They want to get stronger in that room again.
They've talked about being physical.
Yeah.
So you want to bring in tight ends that can block, okay, and I mean effectively knock people on their butts.
Yeah.
And be able to catch the football, sneak out. You know, if you're pounding on a defensive guy 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 plays, then all of a sudden you hit him and release and go out for a 10-yard pass. That starts to change things how that defense looks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
this guy's 6'5", 260. He'll have 3 seasons. He's
3 seasons.
Yeah, big guy, Texas A&M recruit. So they're going after some guys.
They're starting to, I think the needs are D-line, O-line, and wide receiver right now.
But they need guys, like you said, who can block consistently, and that is going to be essential.
And you know what? The NFL wants to see that. They want to see guys that can block. Everybody doesn't have to be a Cooper Kupp and go out and catch 30 passes.
But it wasn't consistent. 2023.
Or Kelsey.
In 2023, those receivers blocked. Everyone on that team blocked very, very well. And it helped the run game behind a O-line that wasn't great.
You know, Florida State's had some interesting tight ends. They had a guy years and years ago. You won't even know the name. Zeke Mowat. Zeke, you can look it up. Zeke Mowat. And the guy didn't catch that many passes. He'd catch some, and he did pretty good when he would catch, but he was a hell of a blocker. He ended up in the NFL. He ended up as a draft choice, played with the New York Giants for several years. So if you can block and catch a few passes, you'll get a look in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Is this him right there?
Who? Yeah, that's Zeke Mowat. Yep. He surprised a lot of people. Zeke Mowat. That's right. I remember him. He was and then you had what's his name? Sean O'Leary.
No, Nick O'Leary.
Nick O'Leary. Again, another great Florida State tight end. He was more of a tight end wide receiver.
But he was undersized, had short arms.
He was undersized, but he could catch the football.
And he was physical.
And he was physical with the football. Yeah. And he got a look at the NFL. He got a look at the life. He played with the Bills for a little bit. He played for a couple of seasons. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Those are the big things for me. The one last thing I want to put out there, the last thing is that a question came up, and I thought this was interesting. This question was posed that name a college football player who should have won the Heisman but didn't. Does any FSU player come to mind for you, old man?
Well,
now it has
Jay
to be
Winston won. He won.
He won.
Jay Winston won. How about Fred Biletnikoff back in the 60s? Great receiver. The award's named after him, Fred Biletnikoff.
You can only name one. Okay, is that your one? You can only say one person.
No, there's so many great FSU players. God. I mean, right off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But that was so long ago.
Gonna see some of these.
I'm trying to think of a quarterback. Wenke won a Heisman.
Some good names.
Holy mackerel. I don't know. You could say Dalvin Cook, but
Dalvin Cook is one of the names.
I'd say Fred Biletnikoff, a Dalvin Cook come to mind. I tell you what, we've had to listen. I go back to the mid '60s. I've seen a lot of players. I've heard a lot of games. I've seen a lot of games, and I remember a lot of the names. I'd say Fred Biletnikoff and Dalvin Cook.
I got one that you didn't say though.
Okay. Peter Warwick. Well, his teammate, Chris Wenke, who threw him the ball, won that. And quarterbacks tend to win, right?
Yeah.
Quarterbacks have the highest odds of winning. But the guy who's going to win the Heisman this year, without any doubt, and he's well-deserved, is Travis, almost Florida State, Hunter. Okay? Well-deserved. He was well-mentored by Coach Prime. And
we're talking about
and he played very well. Peter Warwick is a legend at Florida State. He was a legend in the game when they beat Virginia Tech. Who was the Virginia Tech quarterback?
Michael Vick. What? They say Castellanos is baby Vick.
I tell you what, that game was unbelievable.
It was a great game.
Oh my God. Because Michael Vick could score from any place on the field, and he was a dual threat, and he had an arm. Okay.
Yeah.
He was unbelievable. But Peter Warwick had an unbelievable game. Chris Wenke had an unbelievable game. It's incredible. Incredible game. If fans have not seen that game, pull it up on YouTube and watch that game. It was down in the Sugar Dome. Down in the New Orleans Dome.
New Orleans Sugar Dome. Yeah.
Tommy Frazier. Okay, here's a Tommy Frazier for Nebraska. When Nebraska was in its heyday, Tommy Frazier was the quarterback at Nebraska, and he was a dual threat guy who also caused Bobby Bowden and our defense. Who is our great defensive coach? Oh my God, Mickey Andrews, Fitz. Okay, and Tommy Frazier. They had their great coach, and Nebraska was a powerhouse. Oh yeah. Oh my God. It was unbelievable.
This game will remind you when we had great, this is the level of some of the athletes at Florida State.
Yeah, these guys didn't get NIL. They came to Florida State because we had a great legacy. We had great coaching. Tommy Polley, unbelievable. He played in the NFL too. I can see the guys look at these guys. Unbelievable. And these guys
23 interceptions. I think we had five interceptions this past.
We were like minus 10 on turnovers.
We got to get back to this level. We got to find athletes.
Well, and this guy right here. Yeah. Do you think this guy fooled around with his players? You look, any players that played on his defense, they were scared of him. He didn't sit down and go, "Oh, is everything okay with your social media? Maybe we shouldn't do social." Well, they didn't have social media, but thank God. But Mickey Andrews, who never really wanted to be a head coach, he got offers to be a head coach. He turned them down. I like doing defense.
Like Odell.
Just like Odell. Just like Gus Malzahn has now said, I'm at an age, I just want to run and score touchdowns. I want my guys to score. I don't want to do all the other shit. I don't want to go to booster meetings and all this other crap. Yep. I love football. If you've ever coached, and you've done some coaching, I've done some coaching at lower levels. Yep. It's exciting.
Yeah.
You want to be in the arena. You want to be there.
Yep.
So I get it. I really do. But this team was unreal. These guys, incredible. Those teams were incredible.
That's great.
Yeah, here's KH. He goes, I have the DVD for that game. I have that game. I used to tape a lot of games.
Yeah, you did.
You remember I did?
Yeah.
I used to
Yeah,
tape on the videotape.
I don't know if you ever rewatched any of them, but you had tapes of every game.
I still have some. I threw a bunch out, but I still have this one. And I converted it to a DVD. I used to have one of those machines, KH, that you would could convert the tape over, But oh my God, is that Dugan's? No, who is that?
No, that's not Dugan.
I forget who that is.
That was a tight throw. Beamer, Shane Beamer's dad, of course. Yeah, and here's a good point. KH said they all love the university. We're getting some good stuff in here now. Here's one. Casey Weldon. Yeah.
Casey Weldon, an undersized quarterback.
Oh, God, look at that throw.
Unbelievable. Listen, Florida State had a history of quarterbacks in the waiting. Guys would come in and they would wait at least 2 seasons, maybe 3, to get to be the starting quarterback. It took that much development to beat. They weren't going to beat out the guy.
Look at this throw.
Look at that throw. Look at that. Zipped it in there. Incredible.
Yeah.
Good. Chris Wenke, who's done a hell of a good job coaching at Georgia Tech now. He's building up to be an OC, and he loves the game as well. Okay, KH is saying, find the punt return by Peter Warwick. Tommy Polly, a great player.
This is it.
Is this the punt return? Okay, this is it. Watch this.
And so he rushes this one. That sometimes happens after a block punt. One hop, Warwick says, let's go. And alley. 40-yard line.
Unbelievable.
Lace won't catch him. Hello, end zone.
I probably, oh my God. Unbelievable.
Punt return for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the top of the
Hey, now Coach D says that was Ron Dugan's.
Was it that on that first touchdown that we
number
watched?
80?
Was it?
Right.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, he's right there.
Yeah, this
right.
Dukes. This Dukes, man. He's on that team.
See, we don't have guys like this who are aggressive, who want to who take it off the bounce and are confident enough to take it right off the bounce.
I know. Well, now we just want them to catch it.
Yeah. But this is we don't have
these players. These players were different. They weren't.
These are 5-star guys. These are the 5-star guys that we don't have at the moment. But
there weren't any stars back then. There were no stars. They went out and found these guys. They didn't have the evaluation tools. They had film, and they'd go to high school games and watch these guys.
Yeah, these are elite players.
And that's Janikowski, the kicker, I think. Is that Janikowski?
Yeah, that was Janikowski.
Janikowski, who goes on to the NFL for 15 years, man. He was unbelievable. Yeah. What a leg that Polish guy had.
God, bring those uniforms
back.
But
Peter Warwick went on to an NFL career with Cincinnati Bengals. It only lasted 2 or 3 years. And I think he was a little undersized. But he was the man.
That was great.
All right.
That was great.
All right.
I think that's going to do it.
Oh, my God. We got to stop. These shows are getting too long.
I know. It's not intended.
But it's fun. It's fun. We're having a good time, right?
Yeah, well, it's more fun than the season was. So, so thank you guys for coming out, whether you're live or watching this.
Well, here's the good news. Listen, Rebuild 2.0 is taking place, and we're making progress.
Yeah.
They're making good progress. Okay, but there's still work to be done. There's going to be more names coming and going. We don't pop on for just every little name that shows up. Okay, there are certain programs that do that, and that's good. Good for them. We appreciate that. We will pop on when we think there's something significant, but we will have our regular shows too. And we appreciate everybody who's contributed tonight with names and what you'd like to see. If you just hit that like and subscribe button, if you're new to the channel, that way you'll know when we're coming on the air, and we'll have more shows. I think we'll have another one before Christmas.
Yeah, we'll definitely have another show.
I'm definitely going to be on the road some, so I'll be on a mobile studio somewhere.
Yeah, but we'll have a show recapping the latest in news and transfers and hopefully new commitments and hopefully some O-linemen. So, yeah, thanks for coming out, guys. We appreciate the comments, the likes, subscribes. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Hopefully we get some good news this weekend for commitments for FSU. We continue the rebuild, and let's get excited about the new quarterback, some new pieces, and maybe some new skill players. So thanks, guys. Thanks for coming out. Have a great one. Stay safe out there, and as always, go
And
Noles.
remember, keep your collective cups. When you're old, you'll still have them.
Throw them away, guys. Throw them away. Go Noles. See you guys soon. Have a great one.